Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. Hope you had a great weekend and start of this new week here for you. Hopefully, I'm not going to be coughing too much in this podcast. I'm getting a little cold, I guess. I don't know what it's called. It's weird. It's like when you're young, you never get sick, or at least I never didn't. And then I hit 36, and now I got allergies out the ass. I got, cold sinuses and coughing, and my knee hurts. It's getting old sucks, man. Hope you never have to do it. So yeah, guys, thank you, man. Thank you for being here. Thank you for checking us out again. I'd like to thank our sponsors. As always, my buddy Mark down there at Texas Performance Motorcycles. You can catch him on the web at texasperformancemc.com, as well as on Instagram at texasperformancemc. Looking forward to going back down there to see him here shortly. Sorry. We got that new TBR pipe on the 19 Road Glide, and we're going to get it down there, get it on a dyno, do a Power Vision tune on it, and see what kind of numbers it's putting out with just the air cleaner in the pipe. So we're really looking forward to that. Mark's going to get me dialed in down there, so he can do the same thing for you. So don't forget to check him out on the Instagram and on the web for all your performance needs and maintenance. So check them out, guys. I also want to thank Paint Huffer Metal Flake online. If you want to check them out, Paint Huffer Metal Flake on Instagram. They're the guys that's got all the cool shit to make us painters look like we know what we're doing. So check those guys out. Brian, to be specific. Damn, I hope this isn't like this all the podcast. So anyway, Brian's a good dude. I thought he was going to be coming through town yesterday. Said he was going to be driving out to Florida. I guess something came up. But anyway, man, pretty excited about always using his stuff. I mean, I really don't even know how to re-say this, man. Like, Brian's the shit. Paint Huffer is a great company. It's a great company to buy products from. It's a great company to just rep their shit. So go to their website, painthuffer.com. Check out some of their swag, their shirts, their flakes, their pearls. You can get FBS tapes from them and a lot of other cool shit. And if you're out there in Phoenix area, go check him out. I think he's in Chandler. You can go check out his shop, maybe shake the man's hand, high five him. I don't know what you're into. And just let him know you heard about him through the Fast Life podcast. I also want to thank Horsepower Inc. Those dudes, man, I swear. Horsepower Inc., man. If you're in the Indianapolis area, I hope that you've at least made the trip to go meet Jimmy and the guys at Horsepower Inc. And, just like I said plenty of times before, you can go through there, get your performance stuff dialed in, tuning on in-house on the spot. Pretty much anything you want to do to make your bike better. I mean, those guys are doing it. Now, they're really known for their throttle body, so, if you want to just do some extra work to your fuel-injected bike as far as, like, opening up the throttle bodies, getting you a little bit more airflow, they also have some pretty dope air cleaners, as well as a new exhaust line that's pretty much out, I believe. I could be wrong, but at any rate, check them out at horsepowerinc.net, Horsepower Inc. on Instagram, and Horsepower Inc. Indy on Facebook. I also want to thank Hard Drive Parts for the continued support of the Fast Life podcast. Those dudes over there doing rad shit, man. My boy Zombie Mike is always coming through, keeping us fresh with hard drive stuff, right? That didn't make sense. I don't know. Hopefully you guys have looked into Hard Drive, or at least you followed them on Instagram at Hard Drive on Instagram, right? I could be wrong. Man, I'm so bad at this. I'm thinking about coughing. I'm trying to hold off on it until I get through with the ad, but I'm not doing so well. So anyway, like I said plenty of times before, if you're a shop and you're not a dealer yet, just go check them out, man, because you can get set up pretty easily without a big buy-in or a buy-in at all, to my knowledge. And as long as you're an actual shop and not some queer, peddling parts out of his garage, nothing wrong with that, but it sounded cool at the time. Check them out. Hard Drive Parts has a lot of great companies within it that you can, give your customers a bigger variety of options when it comes to customizing and maintaining, Harley Davidsons. HDTwin.com if you want to get set up as a dealer, or if you want to help your local guys get set up and figure out what they need to do to be hip to the game. There you go. I also want to thank you guys for supporting us, the Fast Life Garage, fastlifegarage.com. You can check out all our stuff, Patreon, YouTube, all that good stuff. I want to thank all the new Patreon members. You guys are killing it for me. And I'm actually working on a panel. I'm going to give away something here pretty soon. It should be just a cool little custom painted panel. Might do a little airbrush on it. Just something cool. Frame it, send it out to you. One of you guys on our Patreon. It's going to happen. Stay tuned on our Instagram for some pictures of it once I get rolling. Yeah, it's all coming. Today we got Rusty, owner of D&D Exhaust. Yeah, he's a local company here in Fort Worth. So pretty excited to have him on. I've known Rusty for a long time, man. I've known of him. We're not like acquainted, like we shake hands and high five each other when we see each other. But when I first got into the paint business, the shop that I used to work for used to paint all his bikes for him. So I'm excited to see how he transitioned from the time when I first met him to how he became the owner of D&D. So bear with me and check this out, guys.
Hey guys, you ready to let the dogs out?
Fast Life Podcast.
Cool. So, man, long drive.
It's the story of my life, dude.
Yeah.
Long drives.
We'll get it all set up real quick. Trying to get this stuff dialed in for you. You have to do the audio right quick so I can hear you real well.
Okay.
There, we're good now. So yeah, fun times, man.
Right on.
Yeah. So I've been following your Instagram. I guess you just realistically got on Instagram not too long ago, like maybe half a year ago, as far as D&D is concerned.
Yeah, like so I had an Instagram a while back, and some bitch fucking stole it.
For real?
Yeah, and then like took all the pictures and everything. So the only thing that I even I had this chick that started it up for me when she was helping me at Sturgis one year, and dude, and basically all we did was put all the install people on it,
Yeah.
Like we get done with their bikes and we take a picture and say thanks and everything else, and everybody dug it and it was kind of cool, and that's the only thing that we ever even did with it, right?
Yeah.
And then that chick stole it, and then I never really did anything with it, and then this dude Jordan,
Yeah, from the Performance HD or whatever, Harley.
yeah, I think something.
Yeah, he's a good dude. I know him.
Yeah, he actually, I met him a long time ago. Actually, he called and asked if he could. He's a graphic designer, right? So he asked if I need any graphic design work, and at the time I was actually thinking about changing the logo, because our logo has been
The same for a long time.
like a freaking. It's been a Texas flag with D&D on it. That's it. So I was like, yeah, let's try to do something. And he just wanted an exhaust pipe for his dyno. I'm like,
Done.
we can probably figure that out. So, yeah, I got with him a long time ago, and then he has done some graphic art stuff for me, doing flyers and some racing stuff and this and that throughout the years. And then, about, like you said, about 6 months ago, he's like, man, I want to try to do some social media stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm like, fuck it, let's try it. He charges me a certain amount of money every month, and I'm pretty happy with what he does, and it seems like what everybody else is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool that he can search for content. I try to give him some, but like I'm not one of those people that does that.
Yeah.
I just I'm fucking working. Like I got shit to do. Like I don't look at Instagram. I never did. I do now because I try to answer some questions that he can't answer, and and Facebook and all that other stuff. I just looked at it from afar. Basically, the only time I look at any of that stuff is when I'm sitting on the dyno waiting for it to cool down.
Yeah, exactly.
For real. Like that's all I do. So,
well, like I was saying before we started this, man, like when I first got into this whole industry, I was working for Gary when it was there at Syndicate, and I remember like you texted me a picture of that fridge, and I was like, holy fuck, I totally remember that fridge.
Right.
Flamed out with all the chicks all over it. And I remember you then, and Gary used to tell me that you built a lot of big horsepower bikes. Like you've always been into kind of the performance side of, what were you doing, more like chopper or pro street stuff? Or?
Yeah, I did all of that.
Mm-hmm. So is that just like like out of the garage, kind of like started your whole business that way?
Well, I did start out of my garage. I started a company that I still have, which is it's called American Pride Choppers. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember the APC, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, I came to the Dallas-Fort Worth area after I got out of the Marine Corps, and I started working for actually Honda Don, well, Harley Don, at Bedford Harley. That's where I started messing around with Gary.
Yeah, I remember that too, because
Yeah.
I remember you were like the main tech
Yeah.
up there for a long time, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
so-
all coming back as you're saying this.
Yeah, he was like, that was when I think he called it Paint by Gary back then, and then it was Air Syndicate, and then, now it's Air Other Side Custom.
Yeah.
So I've dealt with that dude for a long fucking time.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, y'all had already had a very tight relationship before I even started working there
Yeah.
in 2004. So,
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
we did a lot of shit before then, for sure. But yeah, I was working there, and I was also working out of my house. And dude, like, well, if you want to back up a little bit, I can back up a little bit further to kind of give you an idea of how my life started in the motorcycle shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so my dad owned a motorcycle shop. Just a small little mom and pop shop out in the middle of fucking nowhere. I mean, the town has got 76 people in it. Well, it's got 75 since I left. So it's like a really small little town, real rural community, lots of farmers. So I worked on everything. Like, you very, very seldom got to work on a Harley. We had one, and I think we worked on one other one. And mind you, he still had a job, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't like he made enough money doing that he could support
Yeah.
a family.
It's kind of like a hobby shop.
Fucking
kind
a
of
million kids. So
Yeah.
like he had a lot of shit to do.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where, he started me out riding when I was 3. I think they had a picture of me trying to change a tire when I still had diapers on. And like, I've always worked on cars and motorcycles. So that's always kind of been my interest. I always kind of knew what I was going to do. Ever since a very young age, I was going to race motocross. I was going to hill climb. I did a little bit of flat track. I did all of that stuff, but I kind of got in trouble, and then I had to join the Marine Corps. Well, I had to join something. I didn't have to join the Marine Corps, but I joined the Marine Corps. I went and did that, which had absolutely nothing to do with motorcycles at all. But I got out of there, and
So where's this town at? Like, where were you at? Like, where's your dad and all that stuff from?
so it's from Iowa.
Iowa, damn.
Yeah, like a town called Plover, Iowa,
Damn.
with 76 people in it. and like all the towns around there are teeny tiny towns.
Yeah.
Like that's what it is. It's just small little communities. If you've ever been to a farming community like that, that's all there is. I mean, there's an elevator and a bar, and there's no stoplights in my town. There's just basically nothingness.
Yeah.
Like, there wasn't a whole lot to do. So it was good to have an interest, and I worked all the time, dude. So like, we never had anything. Like, my dad had like 6 kids before he even got together with my mom. Like their mom fucking ran off, right?
Yeah.
So like, my sister, she still had the fucking window sticker on her. She was a little itty bitty baby, right? So he puts an ad out in the paper and asking for like a live-in nanny type, because he still had to work and do everything. So my mom actually answered the ad, and then I guess they started fucking, and then here I came.
Well, there's probably not much else to do out there.
There isn't nothing else
There's
to
no
do.
restaurants, and
So you either drink or fuck. And then, like, if you're a farmer, you only got to work a couple times a year. So my dad actually worked there's a place called Pocahontas. That's where I actually went to high school at, which is 13 miles away from the town that I grew up in. And there was a there's a plant there that they build hydraulic cylinders, and he was the maintenance manager there, right? So that's what he did during the day, and then, you know, on the weekends at night, he did the motorcycle shop thing.
Yeah.
And, like, we worked on everything, snowmobiles,
I get
little
snow up there
mini
for
bikes,
sure.
like whatever, right?
Yeah.
So
So basically, when you were in the Marine Corps, you know, what kind of honed you into Dallas Fort Worth? Was it just being around and seeing stuff, or did you have opportunities here? Or?
no, I had absolutely nothing to do with the Dallas Fort Worth area. Actually, a good friend of mine, his name is Rusty too.
Yeah.
We were in the Marine Corps together, and we used to come here on 96s and actually 72s, and like we would haul ass from California to here, and he's from Wichita Falls, so we would come here. And I visited once when I was a little kid, and I always had some sort of draw to Texas, even when I was little. So we took one trip to, I think it was, I don't know where the hell it was, someplace in the Panhandle that we went, and it was just a flying trip. My neighbors, they had some relatives there, and we went there and visited them and went right back. But I'm like, I just, for some reason, I always liked Texas.
Yeah.
So, and then being in the Marine Corps and being able to go all over the world and all over the country, I knew this is where I wanted to be.
Pretty eye-opening too, to be from, you know, such a small town and then be, you know, seeing the whole world for the most part.
Dude, you got no fucking idea. Like, I had never seen a black person in person. Like, I knew they existed, but I never actually knew what one, like, shook a hand or anything, you know?
Wow.
Like, it's so weird up there. Like, there's so few people. I mean, there's more people that live in Rome that live in the whole state of friggin' Iowa, like, for real. Like, I think they just got a little under 2 million people. So, you know, Dallas Fort Worth has more people in one town than they have in the whole state.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
There's no real major cities in Iowa. What do you have, like Des Moines or something?
There's Des Moines and Ames and the Quad Cities. But still, dude, that, like, you're talking 30,000 people. So it's, I mean, that's big city, dude. Like, when I went,
a small like suburb of Dallas Fort Worth.
Yeah, that ain't nothing. That Haltom City's bigger than that.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
But yeah, so I was in the infantry when I was in the Marine Corps, so I knew when I went in that I wanted to do my time there, and then when I got out, I was gonna, pursue working on motorcycles and cars and everything else. So,
did you have to go through any like MMI or anything, or did you just?
I did go to MMI. So right after I got out, I went straight to MMI in Phoenix, and I worked a lot there too. So my brother and my sister live in Phoenix. My brother is a tree surgeon. He's tree trash. He cuts trees and shit. So
tree trash.
Right when I very first got out, I was helping him, which is just nothing but solid work. It sucks.
Yeah.
So I helped him a little bit, and then I did a little bit of construction during the day, and then I went to school at night, and then I got a job at a place called Eastside Performance, which is there in Mesa. It's actually still there today. And they had a dyno, and we built big cubic inch Evos that we took to the horsepower shootout in Daytona every year. So like we won that shit he won it many years before I got there, and then of course we continued to do well when I was there, and of course I wasn't there very long, just long enough to graduate. And then
what year was this, like Texas, around that time?
So that was like 2000, I guess. So
right at the beat. Probably a quarter way into like the big chopper craze that was going on. And
it was just starting. So Titan motorcycle just started out there.
What about wasn't Bourget out of there
Bourget, too? All of those places were just getting going. And so Eastside Performance, they had a dyno and worked on Jap bikes and Harleys, and we built like those big, they were 131 Merch and 121s, and I mean, we took the cranks out and welded them, and we like had a little lathe and a mill, and made Hicks crankshaft pins and all kinds of weird shits just to hold it together. We had to make our own outside bearing supports because at the time nobody actually had any of that stuff, so we were whittling that shit out on the lathe and the mill, and then we put turbos on them. Aerochargers is what we used back then, and then nitrous on top of that. They were monsters. They were little Pro Street, like FXR, badass little bikes, dude. It was really cool. And the guys that owned them, they made sure that they wanted to ride their bikes to those dynos and win the horsepower shootout and then ride them off. That was the deal. So
yeah.
And that's where I kind of learned, of course, up there in frickin' bumfuck Iowa, I never messed around with any nitrous or any kind of performance stuff. It was just like maintenance, simple stuff like that, right? So when I got there, it was really cool because I got immersed in all of the hot rod shit. And then, I learned how to run the dyno there. Of course, we never had a dyno. And learned how to build engines and figure all that stuff out. And at the same time, I was going to school at night, and it's pretty crazy because after I got through the first part of MMI, then they had this other course which was like a performance course where you built engines and learned how to do high performance shit. Well, at that time, I had already been working for Eastside Performance, so I already knew all of the shit that they were trying to teach.
Yeah,
and it was at night. So the dude that was teaching that kind of figured that out, and that dude went to the tip bar, and I taught that class. So that was pretty weird.
Yeah.
And then so then after I graduated there, then I came to Texas. I went straight to work. I had the job before I came here. I went straight to work at Texas Harley.
Was there a lot of people back in that time coming out of MMI, or was it a lot of more just like mechanics that have kind of been doing it for a long time and, up in the dealerships and shit like that? No,
not really. Especially here. I mean, like in Phoenix, they're submersed with them.
Yeah.
Because like everybody has people out of MMI. And, people talk shit about, schools and MMI and all the rest of them that are out there. But like anything, it's all of what you put into it is what you get out of it. So it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter the school. If you're willing to do the best you can at whatever you do, you're going to get something out of it, right? So once I graduated there and I moved here, I had got a job, and actually, old Dan Medley, he was the service manager there. And I came in, and nobody at the time, like I don't even know anybody in the area, but definitely nobody at that shop was even a commissioned mechanic. So I had already known what I was doing. I felt pretty proficient at what I was doing, but hell, I didn't even know where the bathroom was. So the first day I was like, man, let's just start out. We'll do an hourly rate, and then I want to switch to commission. He's like, man, I don't have anybody on commission, but if that's what you want to do, we can probably do that. And dude, the first thing he gave me was an old Evo with leaky base gaskets, and I ended up I did a full rebuild on that and the transmission because every single piece on that piece of shit was leaking. So, and then I upsold the customer on all of it. So after I got done with that, I had that done in like a day and a half. I'm like, dude, I'm ready. Let's go commission. Let's just do it. Like I know what's going on now. So. And then from then on, I'd build a lot of hours. They used to have this thing on the board because everybody else would get a bonus if they got anything over 100 hours in a month, right? So they'd get a little bit extra money if that happened. And I was 300 hours all the time, and they're like, why do you do all that? I'm like, the work's here. I'm going to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm
Especially
here to
if you're
work.
on commission, it's all up to you.
Shit.
So, Yeah, that was crazy because that was also the same time like when things were switching over to twin cam too, and there's probably a lot of people that were kind of the old heads that were kind of used to that single cam, all this stuff from the Evos, and switching over to twin cams and fuel injection was just like
all of that.
That
was right in the big mix of all that shit, for sure. And then and that was actually when I met Dave. Dave at D&D. So at the same time that I was working up there, I was working at my house. Like, I was single, I had no kids. I bought a little house, like right off of Haltom Road, which I still have, and had a big 2-car garage and a porch out back. And dude, I had a lift in my fucking living room. I was washing parts in my kitchen sink. I had 2 lifts in my garage, and dude, I had that place packed. And I was really good about not soliciting any work from up there. Yeah. I would do anybody that'd come up there, they'd be like, "Hey man, I heard that you got that you do some shit on the side. I'd like to do that." I'm like, if you're here, you're gonna do it here, and I'll be happy to work on your shit here. But if you obviously found out that I did it, so you can find out how to fucking get a hold of me. Yeah. So that's kind of how I never really advertised that I did that.
Yeah.
But I got so much freaking work I couldn't keep up. Like I would literally go to work. I'd be there at 8 or 9, whatever fucking time we started, and work all day, and then come straight home, and then work all night long, and then about 1 o'clock in the morning, I'd go for a test ride, go to the tip bar, and then have a couple drinks, and then come home and do it all over again. So that was my daily thing there. I just was totally immersed in it, and so I'm pretty sure, I was at my house at the time, and I had already worked on a couple people's bikes, and I've did a couple hot rod jobs for a few people that of course started talking, and that was, Dave had kind of started thinking about doing Harleys. He had never done Harleys. Like D&D has been around since 1972, and never once did they do any Harleys at all. So
yeah, I remember back on the sport bikes, man, like everybody had those cans.
Oh, no doubt.
Carbon cans with the little, the Texas flag and the D&D on it.
Absolutely. So they, so he had this bike that he was having trouble with. He actually had just got it and put it on the dyno, and it wasn't making any power. It kept on losing power the more he ran it. And it was a twin cam. It was a 2000. What was that? That was a Road King. It was a Screaming Eagle Road King, as a matter of fact, if I remember right. Purple.
2000, so it had that, was that Manelli fucking, or however you say it?
Magnelli Morelli?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a pain in the ass too. But I could make those things work also. So they brought it to me, and I had to split the cases because what happened when they, and it was brand new, so when they put it together, they put too much silicone on when they sealed the cases, and a piece got into the return galley, and it didn't return any oil, so it started sumping, and then losing power every time they ran it, right? So yeah. I figured that out, and then, of course, I got with the customer, and I turned him on into making it a hot rod, so I did that, and then I went back down there, and I started getting with Dave, and, we started working together. So at that time, after that started, he's like, "Man, this is the fucking fastest Harley I've ever even heard of," and all this shit. So, and John Manano worked down there too. He was the dyno guy, and he's an old-time drag racer and land speed guy. So he's like, "Man, let's start racing Harley." So then we started fucking around doing drag racing with that great big bastard. And, little Johnny was so small, he was scared of that big bike. And he's like, "Man, would you ride it?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah, I'll ride it." And then we got him a Buell Blast, souped that thing up, and he was racing it. And we had a good time. And then from that point, throughout the years, I would help Dave develop pipes for new models and different things, and I'd test out different stuff, and actually at that time Of course, I didn't have a dyno at my house, and they didn't have a dyno at Texas Harley. So I rented the dyno from Dave, and he just gave me the keys, and he's like, man, just pay me every time that you go down there. Just go after work and when we're not using it, and make sure everything's fucking put back when you're done, right? So I kind of had free reign of the place, and I tuned a bunch of bikes, and I helped him throughout the years. So basically, from the very first Harley pipe that was ever developed at D&D, I was involved with all the way throughout the years. And then, when was it? It was probably 2012 or 2013, somewhere around there, I think. I'm not real good with timeline shit, but he came to me, and his R&D dude had left. He went to Tucker Rocky, so he's like, I've had enough of this shit, so I want to do it. And at this time, he
so we went to Tucker just to sell parts or sling accounts or what?
For whatever, I don't know.
That's weird.
Well, he was just.
I guess it's just a steady thing.
Well, it's a different thing. So Aaron did a great job down there. He did what he was supposed to, but his hands are tied by Dave. Okay, so Dave kind of ran. He could only do so much. Certain people are only going to be able to do so much when they have a boss, right?
Yeah.
So I am not that person. Like I don't have to answer to anybody because I already had a successful business, so it's like, you don't fucking talk to me that way, dude. Like, I'll leave you, like, you can have this place, you know what I mean? But I wasn't that way when I went there. It's one thing to work and try to help from outside, like being outside labor, right? Kind of like you do work for different companies or whatever, and you get to know them, but you really don't know how the fuck it is until you're there.
Yeah,
working,
like if you work under them.
Yeah, it's a whole different world, So Dave came to me. He asked me if I would help him in R&D. He's like, man, I can't do it anymore. He's 70-something years old. I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want nothing to do with it. But I do need new shit. Yeah. Would you help me do it? You already know how to run the dyno. I know you know how to develop pipes, and at the time, that's the extent of what I would do, right? And mind you, I didn't get fucking paid for none of that. I was paying to, I was helping because he was helping me by charging me $50 to fucking use the dyno, right? You know what I mean? And then through all those years, we became good friends and did a lot of shit. We did a lot of land speed racing and the drag racing and all the other stuff that we did. So when he came to me and he's like, had a legitimate job offer, and he was really needing some help, I said, yeah, I'll help you as long as it doesn't interfere with, at this time I have my daughter, and I'm a single dad, and I also have my business, my motorcycle shop where I do the hot rod stuff and build bikes and fucking choppers and those big wheel bagger fucking all that shit, everything, anything to do with motorcycles. So I said, yeah, I'll help you out. And I told him, like, I'll give you so many hours a week, and like, we'll see how it goes, So I started, and I went down there, and I started seeing how it was, and I'm like, dude, this place is fucked up. Like, I could do a lot of things to make this better, right? And so I did. I started involving myself a lot more, and there was a guy there that had been there for fucking years and years and years and years, and he was the jefe, right? So he ran that place like a prison, and all of the knowledge of all the different stuff throughout the years he kept in his head, and he had a lot of machismo and didn't really want to have anybody in his shit, you know what I mean? So
the job security.
Yeah. I'm like, dude, if we're going to move forward, we need to move forward. We need to, like, everybody needs to know everything. Like, you're a good we want you here, but you got to get along with other people. Like, we're trying to do shit here. And mind you, when I went there, we were we sold it and then we built it, right? Mm-hmm. So everything was kind of ass backwards, as a manufacturing facility should be, you know? So like people back then, you would know, I mean, throughout the whole years of any time that you had ever dealt with Harleys or dealt with D&D, it was like, man, they make a great pipe, but you can't get them. Mm-hmm. You know, you got to wait 6-8 weeks, you know? And me owning a motorcycle shop, I knew how that went. So like, okay, a dude comes in and he wants to do an engine build. I'm gonna take some of his money and start building his engine, and then at the end of it, the last thing that goes on is fucking exhaust pipe. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm gonna get last. Well, if I gotta wait 6 more weeks to get a paycheck, dude, guess what?
Yeah.
I'm gonna do something else. Now, I had a little bit of an in there, so I never had that particular problem with D&D, but everybody else did, so I knew how it worked, and I didn't want that to happen anymore. And the only way to do that is to start paying attention to your sales and your numbers, and figure out what part numbers are what and how many you need to build, and not just fucking off the hip shit like he was doing. So we had some issues, and I got rid of him. Well, I didn't at that time. I didn't own it. I was still in the process of trying to figure out what I was going to do, you know?
Yeah.
But I got it to a point where I'm like, you know what, Dave, you want to leave. You've already tried to sell it. The couple sales went through or didn't go through. And I'm, you know, I'll figure out a way. I'll make it happen. So.
When did they stop doing the, what was it? The sport bikes. Y'all dropped all that whole line, right?
I did that.
You did, yeah.
Yeah. So I did that. When was that? 15 maybe or 16? So I just looked at the numbers, dude, and like.
Dude, they started making bikes like they were changing so much shit within every 2 years or so, and I imagine it had to be complicated for any manufacturer to keep.
Well,
up.
It wasn't just that. So we've for 46 years we've been a company that was based about performance, right? So. If you get a fucking Gixxer 1000 and it comes with titanium head pipes and a fucking badass exhaust pipe, like, what the fuck are you going to do? Like, are you going to take all that shit off and put what?
Some mild steel or stainless steel on it?
Yeah, like, what are you going to do? Like, so all you're doing is, you know, you're making a sound and you might gain 1 or 2 horsepower. I can gain 1 or 2 horsepower by raising my ass off the fucking seat on the dyno, dude. So, like, it's not even worth my time to do that. Not to mention, every other douchebag in the world is making pipes for those. They'll make slip-ons and everything else. And jet bike people are different. They, you know, when a Harley dude comes in and they want to do something, you tell them what they want and they buy it. A jet bike dude will spend 3 weeks studying what he needs to get, right? You know,
message boards and magazines and shit.
Yeah, and then he's like, well, I can get this for $10 cheaper through fuckhead.com or whatever, you know. I'm like, get it then. Like, it's not even worth the time. And then the fact that there's so many different SKUs.
Yeah, it's like you can't make one for one bike. You got to make them for all.
Yeah,
fucking katanas.
Yeah, you make them for all kinds of things. And mind you, that's where Dave was at. That's like, he was the king back when they actually you could do shit and make power. You know, like, he was a fucking master at it. Dude, like, won all kinds of championships on sport bike stuff, and you go to any race and you're going to see D&D stuff on it, right?
Yeah.
So, it was really, it sucked to get rid of it, but the times are changing. You know, if you have so many different part numbers and then you only build a couple a year, well, then the person that used to know how that went together is no longer there, or forgot how to do it, and then it goes out the door wrong, and then you got to redo it and send them another one. Well, that little bit of money that we were making doing sport bike shit is now completely gone. You know, it cost us,
and it's got to be a lot more expensive. I mean, you're dealing with a 4-cylinder, and then you know you're going from a 4 to 2 to 2 and a 1, all that different shit. And the price point, realistically, is hard to get the kind of money that you need for all that stuff. You know, like, most people want to spend $1,000 or $1,200 for a sport bike,
if even.
Yeah, and then like Brock's and Thai Force and all these other people came out that were doing these full titanium exhausts for like $1,700, and only the race guys wanted that shit, you know. So
yeah, so the people that buy those are very few and far between.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
not the everyday pipe you're gonna sell at the dealerships.
No, I mean it's cool to build stuff like that. I love building stuff like that, but when it comes down to business, you can only do so much.
Yeah.
So you have to pick and choose your battles. We're a small company, and we're only able to produce so many pipes a day. So pick the ones that are going to sell and make you the most profit, and that you can gain on. You know.
Yeah.
You know, I got rid of the jet bike stuff, and then I started developing some pipes that were easier for people to stock and easier for us to build, because we used to have, well, and we still do, we used to have 2 different colors, 4 different cuts, and 3 different baffles. That's a lot of fucking part numbers, dude. And it's also like going to a restaurant that has a menu that's like a book. You know, you get you like, I have no idea what I want now. You got too much shit.
So I remember, like, in the big wheel bagger days for me, it's like 2010, 11, 12, when it started. I remember the Fat Cat, the 2-into-1 was like, everybody wanted, like, pretty much everybody was wanting the Fat Cat, and then there was a couple rumors going around where Thunderheader had made a really nice bagger pipe, a 2-into-1 as well, but I didn't see as many of those. But man, everybody was running Fat Cats. Everybody.
They still do.
Yeah. So
yeah, like that was so the very first pipe that we made was a Fat Cat. That's where it came.
Yeah.
So the very first Harley pipe that we ever made was called a Fat Cat, and then from there, you know, we developed different things, and the engine started getting bigger, and then we developed what was called a Borzilla, which was the bigger cubic inch one. So, and you got to kind of think about how everything progresses, right? So when Evos came out, when Evos ended and Twin Cans came out, they were 88 cubic inches, right? They were from 80 Evo to 88 cubic inches, and the big engine was a 103. And that took a couple years to even come out with that.
Yeah.
So now we're talking, that pipe worked really well on all those, and now people are starting to develop hot rod shits, and they're starting to build more stuff, and now you got 107s, and then the 110 came out, or the 110 came out, then the 114, then 117, 124, like 131. It just kept on getting bigger and bigger and bigger, right? So as that progressed, we progressed with it. That's why I love exhaust. It's an ever evolving thing, right? So there's always something to build. As far as performance goes, I mean, there's a lot of companies out there that will build something different because of a different look or a different trend or whatever. But like, we have always stayed true, which I will always stay true to. It has to perform, otherwise we won't make it, right? So, and to do that takes a lot of work. Yeah, like you have to commit to that, because sometimes shit don't work. Yeah, like I have computer programs, and I work with. I help UT Arlington. They have a hot rod where they build go-karts that they race, right? So they have a whole class that all they design is exhausts. They have a fucking they have a computer program that costs like $60,000 fucking dollars that I can run different engine combinations through and to figure it out. And guess what? All that shit doesn't mean anything until you put it on the dyno. Yeah. So I can have, and of course I have a couple programs too, but all of those things don't mean shit until you actually test it. So, and then I sit up at night and I dream of weird shit, and then I draw up like what I want to try, and then I have a fucking, literally could fill up this whole building with shit that don't work, you know. Like, it takes a lot of time to do that, and bigger companies aren't willing to do that because it costs so much money for R&D, and they're only willing to spend so much until
usually
something has to get out.
Usually the owners of Vance and Hines and shit, he's not that hands-on with the products. So
not at all,
you know. And
Dave has always been that way. He was always in the R&D stuff. He always understood how all that shit worked, and I'm the same way. So, I think it's a good thing. It's one of the things that makes us different. And To be honest, I mean, I tell people this all the time. Like when we're at the shows and stuff, there's a lot of different exhaust companies, right? So there's a lot of them that make good looking pipes. There's a lot of them that make good sounding pipes. Some of them even make good performing pipes, but there's nobody anywhere that will compete with our quality. Mm-hmm. So, and one of the ways that I am able to do that, like we've been able to do that for so long, is I don't deal with distributors. So it costs us a shitload to do what we do, but I don't have to cut some other dickhead in at 30%. You know what I mean? Uh-huh. So our prices might be higher than some, but less than others. So we're kind of where we need to be, I think. Actually, I think we need to be fucking higher, but I'm trying to hold the price. Mm-hmm. And the only way that I can do that is because we're able to, you know, we don't have to deal with somebody else.
Yeah,
like
you don't
we have our own dealer network.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, we're starting to do. We just just last week just started online sales. We've never had that all these years. We've never had online sales. Mm-hmm. Like it was, and before I got there, it was dealer only.
Yeah.
Like I would sit there in the office and I'd listen to those girls, and somebody would call and be like, hey, I want to buy this pipe. And they're like, where do you live? And they'd go fucking spend a half hour on the phone trying to find somebody close to them that was a dealer. Yeah. I'm like, just sell them a fucking pipe. Yeah. Like they called here to buy a pipe, sell them a pipe. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to take anything away from my dealers, and we'll always support the dealers for sure. But it's like, you know, some people don't want to deal with that, dude.
Well, I think the main thing to do in that is, and this is something we saw big time happening in the big wheel bagger market, is that everybody wanted to have their own parts line, right? They all wanted their own parts.
Yeah.
But they also all wanted to dealer out to other shops to sell their products and put it on the ship.
Sure.
But then people could go to them direct and get, you know, discounts all the time. And it's like, well, what was the point of me buying into your shit?
Yeah.
If you're just going to give the customer direct a cheaper price than I can give him.
No doubt.
You know?
Well, and Dave was really bad about that. But that was backdoor cash horse shit.
Yeah.
That wasn't us running sales that would undercut you and doing that. That was just dealing with the fucking owner who was a cash whore.
Well, you know how it is with the internet, dude. You get people that'll call you up and ask you like, hey man, how much for a pipe? And you give him the retail for your, you know, he's a local guy. You got retail, you got tax, and things like that. And then he'll turn around and call direct to somebody. And then that shop is like, yeah, man, I'll hook you up, man. You know, 20-30% off. Right. I'm like, God damn, that's my dealer right there.
Yeah,
and then he don't have to pay tax, and you know, hey, I'll free ship it to you too.
That was one of the very first things that I did before I even owned it. Is I cut Dave off from all of that shit.
Yeah,
I'm like, he actually had some accounts where, like, we would ship out of state and like run around to another dude, and he'd pay him some money and like give him cash and real fucking shady shit, dude.
Yeah,
and I'm like, and also had deep discounts for some people, which some people deserve a discount, but I'm more of a performance based style. So like I got rid of all the discounts that he had in place, because dude, it would be like
one pipe here and there, and it's like super discounted.
Yeah, dude, he made a deal with these people. I'm not going to mention any names, but because they're still around, but that did some headwork on a fucking one of his bikes in the fucking 80s or 70s and some shit, and they're getting fucking pipes at like half cost. Like, dude, what the fuck? And they would sell the fuck out of them.
Yeah, and just remark them up. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and selling them below like dealer cost to retail customers. You know, he would sell the fuck out of them. I'm like, you can't do that. You're devaluing the product at that point. You know, so you can't. We cut all those people off. I pissed off a lot of people, but in the long run, it's working, because the people, I made the product simpler to stock, because I made it with just end caps instead of having all the different cuts and all the different baffles. You know, I developed a pipe that actually worked better, and only having one baffle instead of all the different choices. And then I made one loud and one quiet, and then you just put an end cap on it and you're done, right? So you got two different part numbers that you can stock, and that's all you need to do. So that helped out a bunch. And then of course, we got heavy hitters that do a lot of business with us, and we have working relationships with all of the big builders and all the people that make horsepower. And Dan at Zippers, he's fucking awesome. We work together all the time on. I mean, they send me prototype stuff. I send them prototype stuff. We both do our own testing. They're very good and diligent about how they test things, not just throw it on the dyno and see what it does at one point. Like having a rigorous schedule where you actually know exactly what it does all the time.
Yeah.
So you got real results. And I do the same exact thing. Like I have a very, very, I mean, it's retarded what I do. It don't even make any sense.
You're passionate about the performance and the horsepower and building these engines because it sounds like that's kind of what your first foot in the door was that. And you've just kind of carried it throughout your career so far. Yeah,
that's it. And I still build big engines, and I test different stuff. And the cool thing is, one thing that I have a little bit better than Dave is he never built engines. He just did. I mean, he knew how to build exhaust pipes.
Yeah.
I know how to tune bikes. I know how to build exhaust pipes. I also know how things work because I ride a whole bunch, and I do structural integrity tests, like real world, try to fucking break shit.
Yeah, that's one thing that I tried to reach out to a lot of people because last year when I built my FXR, I had everybody and their mom telling me, "Hey man, buy this, buy that," and I'm like, "Dude, this is a Evo." I'm going coast to coast a couple times, and it's like I had an exhaust company that made me an exhaust for it. Every trip something major broke to the point where I'm belling wire the exhaust back together, like every trip the exhaust broke. I mean, they fixed it every time, but I'm like, dude, like if you're gonna make pipes and sell them, like I just tested all your shit out. It doesn't work.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
A lot of people get in there with fucking TIG welders. I mean, I guess now with especially in the performance market or the dyno market, you got a lot of people that are hand building pipes. That's kind of the thing, right? And so
fucking like it seems like everybody with a garage and a fucking welder is starting up an exhaust company.
It is, and it's hard to say. It's hard for me to say that I don't think it's cool because I think it's cool that people are trying to do shit and trying to be innovative. It is too. But at the same time, once you get into the manufacturing aspect of this and you're building shit that you're selling to somebody and someone's putting it on their stuff and maybe you don't really, like you said, you haven't tested it, you haven't put it to the test. And so what I saw happen with the company that I'm mentioning is after 6 months, it was just like Facebook blow up, talking shit about them and this, that, and the other after another. Because, like I said, they knew how to, TIG weld nice and clean. Looked like a lot more fuse welding than anything. But, they were putting it together, nice pipes, nice styles. But they weren't tested. Their brackets were crap. Their welds, like I said, they were fuse welding half of it together so it would look pretty. And so it had no real meat in the shit. It was breaking.
Well, no doubt. And plus, like it seems like the end thing now, when I do look at like Instagram and all that shit, it's like everybody wants to have a stainless fucking pipe without any heat shields.
Yeah.
Like
that raw look.
Why?
Dude, I was talking to my buddies today and it's the same argument that I have with crash bars. Like everybody's making these real gaudy crash bars for dynos and baggers. I'm like, dude, that shit is hideous, man. Like if you don't want, if you need that much protection, drive a fucking car. You know what I mean? Like
they build a fucking roll cage.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's the same thing. It's like it's the look. It's the look that people are looking for. They're they grow accustomed to it because that's what everybody's doing. Then you scroll down.
See it.
Yeah.
Because you see it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that. And there's nothing wrong with that. And we get hit up sometimes quite a bit. They're like, when's D&D going to get in the stainless game? Like, motherfucker, the very first pipes that were built in 1972 were fucking stainless. Like, we fucking do stainless pipes on race bikes. That's what they're there for. That's why we do them.
Well, I think one thing that a lot of people don't understand about stainless is it's a maintenance thing. Like, you can't just throw on the pipe and forever run it. You know what I mean? Like, you got to clean it. So most people are putting it on at their garage with their buddies drinking beer. They got fingerprints all over it, and they turn it on, and next thing you know, it's just burned in the metal.
And it's fucking black. It turns so even if you do clean it.
Yeah.
So first of all, it's always like, I don't understand why nobody puts any fucking heat shields on it either. Like, I guess that's the look too. Why the fuck you want that hot ass thing all over your leg? Like, and then it turns after you keep on running it over time, and if you are diligent about cleaning it off, pretty soon it's gonna fucking turn like black.
Yeah.
Like that, and you can't get it off. That's the color it's gonna end up being, dude. Like that's it. And short of all that, I mean, that's just a looks thing, right? The problem with stainless is it work hardens. So after you have so many different heat cycles, and exhaust on a motorcycle is like the very worst environment for any fucking thing at all, because you got really hot at the heads, not so hot at the tailpipe, and then everything in between is changing all the time. And then you throw fucking water on it and it's cold on one side and super hot on the other side. Well, it work hardens, it gets brittle and it fucking breaks.
That's why you see a lot of people breaking right at the collectors and things like that, probably.
Always.
Yeah.
Like, it's the stupidest fucking thing in the world to make street bike exhaust for. And it's cool that everybody does it. I have absolutely no problem with people building whatever they build. Because here's another little thing that I tell everybody when I'm at these shows. I'm like, you can buy your first pipe, your next pipe, but you can come to us for your last pipe. So after you go through all these things and you figure out what works and what doesn't work, then you can come to us and we'll sell you a pipe that will last forever, you know?
Yeah.
And not to say that we haven't had issues, but usually we have those issues worked out really fucking quick, like before you get it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like if there's a problem, it's usually because it was installed wrong or it's some weird fucking shit that you've done. Like we get calls like on the old Borzillas, right? So the old Borzillas, there's a tab that goes onto the transmission bracket. Well, we send all that stuff, but there's a spacer that goes in it because at that time, the different length and cylinder heights, you would have to use the spacer or not use the spacer. And fucking Harley can't make round things round and straight things straight. So everything's different all the time. So, the idea is you put the exhaust pipe on and you shim whatever you need to make it match to the bracket, right?
Yeah.
Well, some people just fucking put it on there, and if there's a 1/4 inch, they just tighten it up, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's not how it works. Or they just leave that out altogether, and then
drill another hole.
Yeah. Then the fucking shit'll break,
Yeah.
and then they call and say, "Oh, this thing's a piece of shit. It broke after so many miles," and then you start figuring things out, and like, no, that's not what happened. You didn't install it right, you know.
Well, that's got to be the thing that would probably be the most annoying to deal with in any kind of exhaust company is just the people that don't really truly have the eye for detail to install things correctly and measure things, and then just the everyday guy. I mean, if you're just a guy out of your garage, man, I could see it being a pain in the ass.
But the crazy thing about what you just said there is, it's usually the dealerships that fuck it up worse than anything.
Well, I mean, dealerships, they got a high turnover rate now. I mean, a lot of these dealerships are in and out with
that's
mechanics.
true too. That's definitely true. But the problem with most people that work on motorcycles for a living, so exhaust is like, besides changing grips, maybe is probably one of the easiest things that you can change. It takes more to get the old shit off than to get our shit on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's one of those deals. It's like, why do you make this something so simple so hard? Like it's like common sense isn't even there. And that's one of the things that helps being a technician or a mechanic or a builder or a tuner or whatever you want to call me, is when I develop these pipes, I make sure that it's as idiot proof as possible.
Yeah.
So we don't have that issue anymore. Like, I try to make things where everything is really super straightforward. And on Harleys, it's really pretty easy to do because I can make those headers in one piece. We've already been through all the, this many years doing it, you find out ways to make things to where things fit really easy. And anybody that builds, power aside, anybody that has ever put our exhaust pipes on that is a technician, they're like they love them because they come fully. The heat shields are already installed.
Yeah,
Everything's already fits. You know, you take the old stuff off. Our stuff slides into place. We make our own gaskets. We make our own flanges. It's billet. You know, spigots. Like everything fits like it's supposed to.
Yeah.
And we make, you know, our jig fixtures to where you can't fuck it up, dude. Like, I mean, you can drop this shit out of an airplane and it's not going to bend our jig fixtures. Like, it's crazy the amount of time that we take to make things so you can repeat over and over and over again.
That's good. Yeah, that's one thing I do hate. You brought it up. It's like, God, I hate fucking running those goddamn hose clamps through the shields.
I hated it too. Like, and I still to this day hate it. Like, I buy everybody's shit. You know, people talk. If they're gonna ask me if they're gonna talk to me face to face, and I'm gonna tell them something, I'm gonna know for a fact that what I'm saying is the truth. Because I'm not ever going to have anybody come to me and say that, like, oh, you said this is going to perform and it didn't. Well, no, motherfucker, it did. Well, first of all, there's no magical exhaust pipe. So if you had the same combination that I was testing, this is the result. This is what I found out, you know. And then you end up finding, oh, well, he had race gas in it this time. And then, you know, the biggest problem is these barstool racers that they go to a dyno or go to a shop and they put their bike on the dyno with somebody's pipe on it and they make whatever horsepower.
Yeah.
And then they're like, "Oh, we heard about D&D. I'm gonna put a D&D on it. I'm gonna gain some horsepower." And then they go and they put it on and it's the same, or maybe it lost.
Yeah.
Well, they went. First of all, it was 6 months later, and they went to somebody else's fucking dyno. Like, dynos, the number don't even fucking matter. It's percentage of gain. The only way that you can tell if something actually performs or it doesn't perform is if you do it same day, same air pressure, same ambient temperature, same humidity, same barometric pressure, same oil temperature, head temperature, intake. Everything has to be the same.
Yeah.
And then you repeat, and that way you know if it worked or it didn't work.
You put your pipe on, you run it, and then you let it cool off, then you put a new pipe on there and you run that and you test them that way. That way you get a more accurate comparison in the same
everything
time.
That you test. And it doesn't necessarily have to be at the exact same time, because you have
different.
You have the computer's going to change for that, but you have to make sure that your air pressure is the same, that the bike's tied down the same, that you're sitting on it the same. Like, everything the oil temperature is a huge fucking thing. The ambient air temperature is a huge thing. The head temperature is a huge thing. There's a sweet spot that everything is going to be the same. And you can't just fucking blast it once and then that's your power. Like, I have 3 dynos. Like, I dyno all the fucking time. And they're not Dynajet dynos. They're Superflow dynos. They're more for, like, I can measure absolutely everything. You know what I mean? Like, I can graph boost pressure. I can graph absolutely everything. I have so many fucking sensors on my shit, it's ridiculous. So I make sure that everything's the same. So when I make a change, it might only be a half horsepower difference, but if I'm going one way or the other, at least I know I keep on going till it doesn't fucking make power or goes the other direction. You know what I mean? Because you can literally change the head pipe length a half an inch on a bike and change the whole characteristics of the bike. You know, that's the beauty of fucking tuning with exhaust pipes. You know, when we go to the flat track races, we got fucking 20 pipes hanging on the wall, and if the track is different, you change the pipe.
Oh damn, that's crazy. That's some F1 shit right there.
Yeah, like you do. It's really pretty cool. That's why I love exhaust. You know.
That's awesome, man. So I mean, I noticed that you were on you went down to the hot bike tour, man. And
I did.
Did you ride all the way there? Because I saw a picture with your windscreen iced out.
Yeah, it was cold as fuck.
So that was the ride home, or what?
That was coming home. That was
Well,
Sunday.
see, you mentioned earlier, like, you know, when you were in the Marine Corps, you used to ride back and forth a lot, and you're into that. And see,
you know what I used to ride?
What?
An FCR 600 from California to here.
That's got to suck.
On a weekend.
I'm sure you got some pretty badass stories though.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
But man, I'm a huge advocate for writing. Like that's one thing I try to tell everybody. And I think that when companies like yourself are in the saddle like that, like your knowledge and your opinion matters a lot more than, you know, like somebody that's just in this business to sell pipe and do things like that. So that was one of the things that drew me to you, is seeing like I said, once Instagram, you started pushing that, I was able to see you out doing shit, and I'm like, oh, this dude actually, you know, is on the bike, and I respect that a lot, because that's the way I run my business. When people ask me a question about certain things that I like about the bike or why I set it up the way I set it up, it's, you know, I have an accurate response to it for my personal liking.
No doubt. That's the only way that you can speak logically of anything.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just regurgitate shit that somebody else said. Like, I need to know what it does, because I have been around this business my entire fucking life. Like, this is my life. I know how people are in this. Like, this is fucking it for me. Like, it's motorcycle everything. I don't have a wife. I have a daughter, but I mean, that's all I do. Like, it's fucking motorcycles, right? So when people start talking about, like, oh, you got to use this. This ain't worth nothing, and this is the way you got to go. I'm like, what makes you say that? Like, how do you know? Because you fucking used it once, or because your buddy used it and he didn't know how to put it on, or like what? I mean, what was the reasoning behind that statement? You know what I mean?
Well, I think what a lot of people do, and this happens to me a lot when I post things about my bike or my trips or whatever online, is I get a million questions. I try to answer them all. But I think that maybe a percentage of those people just ask the question, and now that's knowledge to them. They think,
no doubt,
you know,
guaranteed.
Instead of them taking what I said with a grain of salt and trying it for themselves and adjusting, you know, maybe I like this seat over this seat, but you know, I'm this height, this weight, this shape, and this guy. You know what I mean?
And you ride different than the next dude. So, and that was so. Here's the deal about, like, me. So, to be honest with you, like, when Jordan started doing my Instagram, and it wasn't very long, he had mentioned something to me. He's like, "Hey man, this dude Jason, the Fast Life Garage, wants to do a podcast with you." I didn't even know what a fucking podcast was. I had no fucking clue.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything about it, and I asked him, I'm like, what is it? And so I'm like, let me listen to it. I'll figure out what the hell it is. I never knew about Joe Rogan, or I knew who Joe Rogan was because I fucking had his, you know, comedy CD in my fucking truck and shit, but I had no idea he did a podcast.
Yeah, like, he's like the OG of this shit, man.
I know. I'm like, that's pretty fucking cool. So I started listening, and I started listening to your podcast and other people's stuff, and then I start reading some of the things on Instagram and Facebook and like everything else. I'm like, there's so many people that are talking that are just fucking talking.
Yeah.
And people are listening. Like, people want knowledge so bad that they will listen to anybody that fucking talks.
Exactly.
So
that's why, like, YouTubers and the motovlog guys are so popular, because people want that shit. And there's not a lot of motorcycle related podcasts that are specific to our market or our scene.
No doubt.
And so it makes it to where, you know, people are just hungry for information, and they got the pictures on Instagram, but if you're like me, I don't get on fucking Facebook chat rooms and groups. Like, I'm in them and I'll skim through them every once in a while, but I never comment because I don't want to get into the shit show.
Oh, dude, it's ridiculous.
You know, that kind of stuff.
I did
opinion
that one
game.
time. So the thing about me is I fucking hate people.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like talking. I don't like being around people. Like, I saw a lot of fucking crazy shit when I was in the Marine Corps. So I deal with all of that by working all the time. And I was always the guy that I'd pay attention to things. And I'd, like, ever since I was a little kid, to be quite honest with you, like, I've always just watched and shut my fucking mouth and paid attention. And then I started doing shit, and I always work and try to figure things out. Right. So And I'm fucking was perfectly happy doing that. And then I start seeing some of this, and the whole world has changed, right? Like everybody is wanting all this information and sucking up fucked up shit. I'm like, when I start reading some of that stuff, I'm like, dude, that doesn't even physically fucking work that way. Like, what are you talking about? And people are like, oh yeah, I did that too. No, you didn't. That's not possible.
Yeah.
Like the world doesn't work that way. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I've come to decide, when I told you that I would do this thing, I'm like, maybe I do need to fucking talk about some shit. And I have a lot of knowledge. And one of the things, like I told you, I bought 85 acres out in the fucking middle of nowhere, right? Well, since how I have dealt with, the PTSD thing and all my fucked up head being in the Marine Corps, I have decided that I want to try to help some people. So I'm in the process of building a building out there, and I'm going to start teaching people that were in the military that suffer from that shit how to work on fucking motorcycles.
That's cool.
And I'm gonna build a little town out there, a little old west town, and it'll have like a brothel and a fucking bar and a barn and some other shit. I got a bunch of animals. I got a camel and a fucking Z-Donk and like mini horses. I got all kinds of shit out there already, and a big lake and a fucking, like, it's really cool.
You need to set up a little camp thing out there. We can have some motorcycle camping and come party out there.
Yeah, but you keep on forgetting that I don't like fucking people.
Well, we'll just stay in the other side of the 85. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the North 40.
The North 40.
Yeah, I thought about that too. And it's a fucking great place to do that. And
well, I think that you would do well in a group of people that, like, that aren't trying to talk over you, that, like, they respect you.
For sure, yeah.
And listen to you, and you can have intelligent conversation. Like, I bet you and my buddy Mark from Texas Performance would just geek out, because he's just like, listening to you and knowing him, like, you guys are on the same level of like interest in motors and power. Sure. and performance. Like, like me, I'm a visual guy. Like, so I like, my shit's all about looking good, and then
right.
My buddy Mark is all about, it's perform over, what is it?
Form over function.
Yes.
So you're form over function, and he's function over form.
Exactly. So, I mean, we're like the opposites, but we just make a great team. Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. But that's I think that's cool, man, because, when before you took over D&D, and before, Jordan got on and started, revamping the Instagram, it's like, it made your company look and feel personable. Like, it's not just you're flipping through drag and, there's this pipe. Who the fuck is D&D? Now it's like,
and I think that's one of the things that I've realized too, because I've always, and Dave was the same way. Dave's a fucking recluse, dude. Like, he was way fucking worse than I was. Like, we went to fucking Spain, Barcelona, Spain, for a fucking race. And he's like, wants to leave a day early, and like, we're all down having dinner and fucking partying and having a good time, and he's in his room fucking eating crackers and cheese and shit. I'm like he was bad. Like, I don't mind fucking partying. I have no problem drinking and carrying on, but it's either I work or I drink. I don't mix the two. I usually am always fucking working. So, but yeah, I just decided that I think I should maybe not be such a dickhead, and people want to know a story. Like, people want to buy from their friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, there's this old saying, with all things being unequal, or all things being equal, people want to buy from their friends. And with all things being unequal, people still want to buy from their friends. So basically what that means is, even if you have a superior or an inferior product, people want to buy from somebody that they know, that they like, and that's the whole thing about being a good salesperson. It doesn't matter what the product is. It matters in the fucking personable part of it, which I've always been pretty good about selling stuff, but I always was more of the shame you into fucking buying it type guy. It wasn't. I know
that.
I'm not. Like, you don't have to buy it, but if you want to be a fucking gay, like, don't. You know what I mean? It's.
I know what you mean. I'm that way.
And it works, but it doesn't work unless you're fucking talking to somebody, right?
Yeah.
So I want people to understand like what I'm doing and what I'm trying to do, and like what I will continue to do is make the best fucking product that we possibly can, and I make 100% of it right here in fucking Texas.
Yeah.
Like and every single part on our fucking pipes is made in America. Like even the ore we fucking tell them we want domestic fucking ore for our pipes. I get, mill runs of pipe that's built right here in the United States, and it gets shipped to me on big fucking trucks, and that's what we start with,
Yeah. So you have, is your Road Glide a 19?
Which one? I got 3 of them.
The one that, okay, because I saw you, like I said, I messaged you because I was like, you pulled up at Longhorn when I was pulling out one of the dealerships here in Dallas.
Oh, yeah.
I think you had your daughter on the back of it too, right?
Probably, yeah.
And I saw it, I was like, is that fucking Olin's on there? Because you got to understand, like, our little niche of, like, just performance look or just performance bikes, dynos, all this shit, it's not that big here. So when you see someone rocking shit like that, it's like, oh, who? I don't know this guy. Like, who?
Well, it's the same as if you saw a fucking dyno in a parking lot or a fucking FXR or anything like that. It's just not. That's not here.
So you're running like, I saw you had the Olin's piggybacks on the back, and then what bar setup are you run on that? Because I noticed it. I think one of your pictures, it's like a T-bar setup, but is it like a?
Yeah, it's motocross bars. Mm-hmm. So those risers are really fucking badass, and I test other shit too, So that all came from Kraus. Mm-hmm. So his gauge setup, his risers, his setbacks. So it fit really good for me to have that particular moto style bar with 1.5 inch. Cool. He calls it. I can't remember what the fuck he calls it, but it's a setback that.
What's the Raptor plate or whatever?
Raptor plate. That's it. He calls it a Raptor plate. That sets it back 1.5 inches, and then instead of being straight up T-bars, they pull back 1.5 inches, so they got that little curve in them.
Yeah.
And then they also have rubber in them too, so they're isolated. That fucking thing's badass.
Yeah.
And then I got I put a Saddleman on that with the 2-inch pullback for me, and it fucking just sits really fucking good for me.
And that's the one you rode to Phoenix and did all the hot bike tour and everything?
Yeah, that's the one I did all them miles on, yeah.
So how does it feel for, like, people, every time I post it, like, hey man, what T-bars are you running on your Road Glide and all this, that, and the other? And it's like, the hard part is, like, a lot of, like, me, I love it. Like, I did the ape hangers, I did the crush tubes, I did, the kind of beach bar, ballistic cycles bars and stuff. But man, like, when I have a set of T-bars on my bagger, I ride that thing like a retard. It just makes me want to fucking ride hard. You know what I mean?
Oh, no doubt. So you have more control. So it all comes from racing. Like, so those bikes, when you get them like that, so you just got a 19, right?
Yeah, I just got a 19.
Same bars that, I mean, you have them and they're fucking like, your elbows are hitting you in the side, right? And they're very comfortable for most people because that ergonomically, that's how they designed it. So the majority of people, when they sit on it, they just fucking, it feels falls, good for them. Well, in reality, if you want to have control over your bike, your fucking hands need to be straight out. Mm-hmm. They need to be like you're punching somebody, right? Mm-hmm. And that keeps your back straight and your weight over the middle of the bike. And that's where you need to fucking ride if you're going to ride aggressively. Not necessarily if you want to ride long distance and be comfortable, but people are fucking different,
Yeah.
I mean, I fucking hammer shit, like, hard.
Yeah.
Like, I drag the fuck out of floorboards and I ride like an idiot. And a lot of people found that out on that
hot bike tour.
On that hot bike tour.
How was it? I didn't get to go this year. I was kind of planning on it, but man, this year's just been a shit show.
Well, so I've never been to it, so I had no idea. Like I said, I don't fucking like people, so that's not one of the things that I would have normally done. I always ride by myself, or I ride with maybe 1 or 2 guys that I know how they ride, that will actually keep up with me. Like, I fucking have left. One time I left Fort Worth, and we were gonna ride to fucking New York. The motherfucker, I lost him. We left, like Haltom Road and and 121. And by the time I got on 820, I never saw that dude again for the whole fucking trip. Like, I don't get how people are, but nonetheless, there's a very few people that will hang with me. Not saying I'm a fucking badass and ride like a fucking idiot. It's just like, I pass people when I get to them, not when I can. So I don't mind splitting lanes. I ride very aggressive because I don't want to get fucking run over.
Yeah, that's what I've always told people is like, if you're the aggressor, then you cut out a lot of potential to be hit from behind or you know what I mean? Like right. You're always in the offensive position basically.
No doubt. And I'm looking a million miles ahead of me. Mm-hmm. I don't fuck around, dude. Like, I don't want to be around people because I ride every single day. Like, I ride every day.
Yeah.
So I'm always looking at what other people are doing and what everybody's texting or fucking around or doing some other stupid shit, you know? So,
kind of going back a little bit, when you were building the chopper things, like, how was it like for you and your riding style and the chopper stuff, and like as it transitioned, did you say you said you kind of built some of the big wheel shit for a little bit?
For sure, yeah.
So like, what were your thoughts on the different scenes and like what you kind of more liked about them and disliked about them?
Well, as far as the visual stuff, so mind you, everything that I ever built had big engines in it. Mm-hmm. So regardless if it handled good or it didn't, it fucking hauled ass.
Yeah.
So that always made up for some of the things that I didn't really care for. But all the customers that I built those for, I always made sure that they were drivable and they would work no matter what they wanted. If they wanted a 30 or a fucking some other stupid crazy shit, I worked really hard to make sure that it would. You start it and run it and fucking drive it, do whatever you want to do with it. And back when I was building, I did more pro street stuff, but all the big long fucking chopper stuff, I did right side drive, and I tried to keep them kind of skinny. I did some fucking stupid shit. I did a 360 tire one time. That thing was, we narrowed it up in the front. And it had a soft tail style twin cam in it. So I got it as narrow as possible because when you have a tire that big and that wide, it's like a fucking car tire. So you got to push it really hard in the corners. So if you narrowed it up, you could lean it over further and it would go around the corner better. Yeah. But I mean, it still fucking sucked. But,
yeah, so that was back when Borghetti used to put those car tires on the 240s because they didn't make a tire yet for it.
Yeah, well, this was one of the first big. Those were the great big 360s.
Oh, the monster ones?
Yeah, that monster thing that had a little bit of a curve to it, but it was still fucking ginormous.
Dude, you can damn near not even put a kickstand out. You just turn
it off. There was no kickstand. It was a lay frame.
Oh, okay.
So, and I put an airbag off of a car on it, and it was all in the back. The front was what was that dude's name? It was the really fucking cool. Why did I forget his name? But it was a really cool front end that looked like a fucking spaceship. Cost a like gold dammer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that back then it was $10,000 for that fucking front end. You know, it was awesome. I mean, that thing was pretty cool. Gary painted that too. Mm-hmm. It was black. It was just pretty simple. You know, it was pretty cool though. And then I did everything from little bobbers with shovel heads and even those I tried to make haul ass. Mm-hmm. I have a lot of bikes myself, and every one of them has something done to the engine.
Yeah.
But it's all I just like all different types of bikes. It's not just because that I build it or I like it doesn't mean that that's the one that I go to ride the most. Mm-hmm. You will see that my soft tails and Dynas and the fucking FXR that I'm building right now is not going to be they're not going to be high miles bikes, but those baggers are.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the one that you get on, and that's the one I have the most fun with because I can go a lot further. You got to go someplace to get something, to see some cool shit around here,
Yeah, Paul from Lindahl was, we just ordered another set of wheels for a customer of ours, and I'm trying to see what kind of wheels I want to do on mine. And he was telling me, he's like, yeah, man, I just got off the phone with Rusty. He got a set of wheels from me, and I guess that picture you sent me, those gold ones.
Yeah.
Is that going to be for the FXR or what?
No, the FXR is going to be. It's going to have different wheels than that. That's actually for that bagger.
Oh, dude, that gold's so badass on there.
Yeah,
the star look, it's got that old school vibe to it.
Yeah, and I had him build it with black hubs and with gold hardware and stuff. Yeah, that thing's cool. I actually just put that front wheel on last night, and I'm waiting.
What'd you end up going with size wise on it?
So on that bike, I went with a 21 on the front, a 17 on the back. And depending on what you want to do, 21 is the coolest look.
I think so.
I have 21s on all of my personal baggers. In reality, you would probably want to do a 19. A 19 still looks cool, but you can get it down right. But with that Öhlins front end, I can change the height, the ride height, and get everything.
Kind of adjust it back to normal.
I can work the trail back out to where it is, but you have so much weight.
Yeah.
So on that whole ride, if you saw those pictures, I had the stock wheel in the front without a fender, because I had a fender, but to shave it and cut it, I wasn't going to cut it for the stock freaking 17. So I just left it off, which I fucking kicking myself in the ass for, because I rode in the fucking rain so much. But nonetheless, that thing feels really light because it's so small. And even I have a few bikes that I have BSTs on, and they feel super light in the corners. And I built quite a few baggers with them too, even 21s with BSTs. It just feels super light. The problem when you get really, really light like those BSTs, it doesn't, and you have Öhlins or, Race Tech or whatever you're going to use, some higher end stuff, it doesn't give the same feedback. So your adjustments are totally different than what they would be with a heavier wheel. You know what I mean? So everybody that is going to come up with any kind of setting is going to be talking to you about a fucking wheel that weighs something, not a BST. You know what I mean? So, and it's not that it handles bad. It just fucking feels sketchy. So, and it's the same thing with those trees that I got. I actually got those from Big Bear. And he seems to think that you need to pull the fucking trail back like a Dyna or an FXR. Well, that's not the case on a fucking bagger, especially if it has a tour pack. It might work, and it works. Now, mind you, I'm not fucking putting it down or anything, because it fucking works awesome for low speed technical shit. And when I say low speed, I mean going through the canyons at 80 below.
Yeah.
So anything below 80 mile an hour, those long fucking sweepers that you can fucking hammer 80 plus.
Yeah.
It gets fucking sketchy as fuck. And the other thing is the compliance of it. So when you're cruising down the road, just fucking setting the cruise and just hauling ass at fucking 90, because that's all you can set a cruise at, it'll fucking start bucking. You hit a bump and it's really rough. So one of the things that we need to do is I have him build me new trees, which he had already started doing that anyway, because I think he had that problem before. But nonetheless, the good thing about him is he takes feedback and he tries to fucking fix the problem, and that's all you can really ask of anybody. Everybody, I mean, there's all kinds of people that talk shit about anybody, but everybody that is in business is going to have a fucking problem. As long as they're willing to fix that problem and move on, then you can't really fucking ask of anything else. Don't be a fucking dickhead and hide from people. Just be up front and fucking tell them, hey, I fucked up, or this happened or that happened. I'm going to do this. We'll make it right. That's all. That's how I've always been, and that's all I ask of anybody to do. You know, if you fuck shit up, just fucking fix it.
Yeah. So basically, y'all kind of like R&D and like figuring out what the right rake is to kind of give you that high speed cornering that you would want.
Well, not only that, plus settings, because settings has a big thing. So I put, what did I put on that fucking front end? And so I've done the rear shocks. I've done 1,000 times. I have those on all my bikes. So I pretty much know how those work. But when you start fucking around with the front end, that changes everything. Now, mind you, on a bagger, most everything is done on the rear, so you can get away with leaving your front end completely stock and then putting a good set of fucking shocks on the back, and the fucking whole thing will change. Your life will change.
Yeah.
If you know the setup right. But when you do something different on the front, now those forks actually come off of a Ducati Duval. Well, that fucking thing weighs a quarter.
Yeah, that's what I was always wondering, because they use those Olin shocks, and you know the longer tubes in like a standard Gixxer or something like that. But I didn't think they were specifically designed to make.
Never.
Because when I talked to the dudes at Olin at Daytona, whenever I kind of walked by y'all's booth, and I was like, so are y'all like actively making Harley stuff? And they're like, no, we're just working with guys like MJK and Big Bear and Kraus, because they're making trees, because they don't have trees.
And they won't.
Yeah, so...
And that's one of the biggest things that they'll say is that they can't support any of that shit because it wasn't designed for that.
Yeah.
So they don't do the testing. So one of the things about Olin is they're really good about fucking testing their shit too. Of course, that's done overseas, and they test the fuck out of it, and they figure it out, and then they can tell you what to set it up at. You put it. You set your ride height, your fucking your free sag, your what this is the clicks that you start out with, and then turn it up or down.
Yeah.
If it does this, you move it here, until you like it, right?
You've heard of like, what is that, ODC suspension? I think they're out of Italy or some shit like that.
Yeah.
But they seem to be marketing more towards the Harley crowd, so I wonder if they're actively, or are they just building a set of suspension that looks like what we all want?
Who fucking knows?
That's kind of that's the thing. It's like, who wants to?
Well, that's kind of like that MJK dude. He builds some fucking really radical, crazy shit. But like those forks that you see with all the different adjusters on the bottom.
Yeah.
Go ahead and ask fucking Olins if they suggest you riding that on the streets.
So those are usually like the $9,000 or $12,000 front forks on those bikes. Yeah.
Yeah. So like my cost on that is still like fucking $8,000. So those are like $12,000.
Yeah.
Fucking retail cost on shit like that. And the thing about it is I don't know how much you've been around racing or anything, but let's say if you rode dirt bikes, do motocross, right? Mm-hmm. If you go out and buy a KTM SX 450, that's a full-blown fucking race bike from just straight off the showroom floor, right? But if you gave that to a fucking racer and gave that to anyone that races professionally and you went out and rode his shit, it would be so fucking stiff you'd think it was a rigid.
Yeah.
Because he rides so much harder than you that it's not compliant at all. You know what I mean? And those particular shocks that he's puts, they look fucking badass.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I was going to buy some until I started figuring
research.
it out. And he's like, dude, you do not want those. First of all, you're going to have to rebuild it like every time that you run it, because that's the other thing that racers do. Every time they come off the track, we rebuild the forks and the fucking shocks, and everything gets done all the time. That's not
practical.
It's not practical at all if you want to fucking smash miles. Yeah. Even if you just want to ride around town, you don't want to work on your bike that much.
Yeah, you'll make it from Fort Worth to Dallas. Your shit will be
like, I don't want to work on my shit that
out.
much. It's bad enough the way it is. I need a refill.
Cool. You grab me a beer too?
For sure.
Yeah, it's cool that like, I feel like a lot of people keep buying into like you see a lot of the baggers now. They're kind of jumping on these big suspensions and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that a lot of the dudes can't ride good enough to use them, but I feel like a lot of people, are buying way more suspension than their abilities. You know what I mean?
I guarantee it.
So much for sober October. Yeah, it seems like I got some friends, man, that like one of my buddies from Michigan came down to our little camp out, and he's fully decked out. I think he got all this shit from Big Bear, and full front end, rear suspension, all done out. And the dude rides hard as fuck, man. Honestly, no shit. Like at our camp out, it was Sunday, and he blasted all the way down, Thursday or Friday to the camp out from Michigan, right, to Oklahoma. He gets there, he hauls ass, he's hitting all those like Talamina Highway, just killing it, right? So I'm laying in the tent Sunday, kind of hungover, and he leaves, And like where Adam Sandoval's campground, it's like in the valley, like before you get to all that Talamina shit. And he leaves and he like gets on it, right? First gear, second, just wraps it out the whole way. He doesn't get to sixth gear and then let go. He rode that motherfucker out the entire time until you could not hear his exhaust anymore. And all of us in the campground are just kind of like standing around going, God damn, that was cool as shit.
That's how they do it.
Steve Chamberlain, that's who it was. Yeah. No, that dude's, it was just badass, man. So I was like, that I was on the 88 Dyna I had, the last one I had, and, I couldn't keep up with him and my buddy Mark, just an 88 with the cam, and this thing is a 6-speed, M8 motor, this, that, and the other. I just like, fuck it, man. I got to go back to a new bike.
Well, it's always nicer to ride a fucking bagger, regardless. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. I mean, everybody's trying to make all their little bikes into baggers in the first place. So, like, why not buy a fucking bagger?
Well, a lot of people are really starting to like. I'm a huge fan of the Dynas. I love the scene. I love the culture. I love the bikes, but they don't ride that well. They wobble like a motherfucker. Everybody I know that has a Dyna, they get 90 miles an hour to 100, depending. And you just get the little head shake going on.
And you can fix all that too. I mean, I have a Dyna. My Dyna is. When all the Dyna freaks, I started seeing all the Dyna freaks, and they're jacking their shit way up, and that whole scene of the carving, canyon carver people. I went the opposite direction and made mine like a drag bike. Uh-huh. So put a long swing arm and Olin's front end, and I got it's got motocross bars on it too. It's pretty cool, and I built that. It's an 06 Dyna.
Bastard deer.
Yeah, and but you can get them fucking super cheap, and I actually bought it from Little Johnny, and he bought it brand new, had like fucking 4,000 miles on it. But nonetheless, I built that as what did I do to it? I made it a 97 just so it sounded like something when I started it up. And then now that I did all that shit, I'm pretty much over that, and now I'm going to put a 143 in it and develop a pipe for the 143 for the Dynas, which I already have for the baggers, and then I'm gonna put a supercharger on it and make fucking 400 horsepower.
Nice.
It's got BSTs on it and all kind of. It's got chain drive.
So does it, with it being low and more stuck to the ground, do you get a much truer ride
it's fucking
at higher
awesome.
speeds and stuff like that? Yeah.
But it's all in the setup too. It's not just that they wobble at a certain speed. I mean, there's a lot of things that give it input. So most of those dudes that you're probably talking about have giant fucking T-bars with a gauge cluster that they have to look around to fucking see. And, they get up to speed and all that fucking wind is moving everything,
Yeah.
And then they have a T-Sport style fairing on it, which is small, but their hands are sticking outside of it. And people don't ever fucking pay attention to that. Like, dude, put some normal shit on it and it's not going to fucking do that,
Yeah.
Like even that Dyna stock, I could fucking run it as fast as it would go. Yeah, 10 or whatever.
When I rode to Phoenix once on my Dyna, just being on the open road, and it felt like the bike, like you said, with your arms out like the T-bars, and I had a T-Sport fairing on it as well. It creates a lift on the front end almost.
No doubt, for sure.
And you get to about 100. On that time I was doing about 105, and I would feel it real nasty. But then sometimes, like my little brother, he weighs a lot less than me. He'll get on that same Dyna and he'll do 85, and he's like, "Dude, it's fucking wobbling. I'm gonna die on this thing." And I'm like.
Well, and it's different heights, it's different weights, it's where your body's positioned.
I would literally put my feet on the rear pegs, and it would cause that. I'd put my feet on the front on the mid controls, and it would kind of level it out more. Yeah. So it is like that. It's a lot. There's no like guarantee thing.
You can't just fucking put a blanket fucking statement that says all Dynas fucking suck and wobble at 85 mile an hour, because that's not the case. Like they all don't do that. It's how you fucked it up is why it's doing that. And it's the same thing. You got so much input on your handlebars. You're stacking a bunch of shit that wasn't supposed to be there. It's supposed to have a fucking headlights. Yeah. And fucking bars down here. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then when you start putting all this other shit on it, it's going to do things in the wind. If you've ever been to a wind tunnel, dude, it's fucking crazy. I can't remember how much it fucking cost to do this, but when we were doing the land speed racing, we spent a whole fucking day, like $5,200 fucking dollars just fucking testing different riding positions and fucking gloves and different helmets and shit on the same bike. You know what I mean? Like, there was only so much I could fuck with the bike, and then we're like, you know what? Let's figure you out.
Yeah.
Let's get you in a fucking better position. And we spent the rest of the day doing that in the wind tunnel. So, the thing about the difference between a road glide and a street glide or an electric glide is you have so much input on the fairing because the wind is doing so much shit.
Yeah.
Whereas on a road glide, it's pushing on the frame and it feels so much lighter. You're not getting that input. So when you get those side winds or the buffering winds, you're not moving the bike. It's not moving your hands. It's moving
Just the bike, yeah. So you can still kind of keep it true, as opposed to on the street glide where when it hits that fairing, it's kind of it's pushing on it. You know what I mean? And that's pushing on the.
If I would have been, so I rode from Vegas to my house here in Texas. It was like almost 1,200 miles, 1,180 something miles. And it was fucking snowing. Like the high, after I got past like Kingsman, it was down in the 30s. And then,
you're climbing up that mountain to Flagstaff.
And then I got to Flagstaff. It was like, that was the warmest I saw it. Then it was fucking 37, and I saw 22, and it was fucking snowing, and like it was like that real drizzly fucking bullshit. And there was trucks on the side of the road all the time. And dude, I'm like, dude, I got to go. I'm fucking over this. I've been gone for 2 weeks, and it was cold as fuck. And I'm either like, I looked at the radar, and I'm gonna either spend a whole week waiting for it to stop raining or just get it over with in one day. Mm-hmm. But the wind was blowing so fucking bad that it was coming out of the north. And if I would have been on anything but that road glide, instead of it just fucking setting over and just leaning into it the whole time, if I would have, and then you go past those semis and then the fucking wind changes everything. If I would have been on a street glide or a fairing, you know, a handlebar fairing, I wouldn't have fucking made it. Because
that's a good point though, man. Like I remember from the bagger days, I used to hear it all the time about dudes having, you know, wobble issues with the street glides, not so much the road glides. And it makes sense that fairing is mounted to the you know, the steering setup basically, and that's the same way most of the Dyna fairings are. Never had any issues with my FXR. Of course, that RP fairing is all, you know, frame mounted and stuff like that.
It doesn't move.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't really think about it like that. Didn't translate very well.
Well, that's why you make shit pretty, and I make shit go fast. There's nothing wrong with that.
So with the, you know, like you got this new, you said you had a 19 now, right? I want to say
it's an 18. That road glide that I have is an 18.
It's an 18. So still the, you know, all the
same shit.
Yeah. So what do you think about like the M8 motor in general with, you know, like I said, my pretty mind, I guess you want to call it. I was expecting a 114, you know, or a 107 to put out some more better numbers. But it feels like those numbers are equivalent to a 103, just maybe a lot more torque.
Don't get fucking ate up in the numbers. The potential is there as long as they get some of the issues done. But one of the things that I try to explain to people is, and the problem is it's been so fucking long ago, because 99 is when the twin cam came out. So that had a fucking very long run, but when it very first came out, they had a fucking bunch of issues with it. You know, they had cam chain fucking problems, they had fucking oil pump problems, they had all kinds of fucking problems with it. When it came out, there was people that knew that it was fucked up before it ever came out, and it took a little while for them to fix all those issues. Well, we have the same issues with this Milwaukee 8. It can make fucking mad power. Like, they're doing fucking crazy shit, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to have issues.
Yeah.
The fucking things are hot as fuck. They have a decent oiling system, and and finally I think they're starting to realize after their 9th fucking revision of the oil pump, it's not an oil pump problem, it was a breather problem where the sumping issue is. So when you build the engines bigger, that air needs to go someplace. So if you keep on making them bigger and bigger and bigger, and you don't have the right I don't know if you understand how oil pumps work, you know, but that air goes and pushes the fucking oil into the backside of the oil pump, and that's what returns it back to the oil tank, and that's what the issue is. So if you have more air, it has to go someplace, and that air is trying to push the oil to the backside of the oil pump. Well, if it's not doing that, it's just kind of cavitating back there and moving back and forth. So this last rendition that I saw from Harley is they actually sealed off the crank side, where the pinion side is. The oil pump goes up against it, and it has a seal on it, so it actually seals off the crankcase and the cam chest, right? So finally they have something that's going to seal that. S&S used to have something like that. It was a little reed valve that they put down there that would separate the two, but they still have the same fucked up little breathers in the head. So I know it's helping, but I know that people are kind of scrambling trying to figure that out. And then at the same time, their sales are down. So everybody's like, oh, well, my fucking sales are down. I can't spend a whole bunch of money on R&D. And like it's a big fucking snowball effect. So there's people trying to fix that issue, but it's just not quite there yet. So that you can make all kinds of power. Like I've made, 160 horsepower is pretty easy to do, even with my little pipe. Like our standard fucking billet cat that we make right now for the Milwaukee 8, the regular one that we've made from the beginning, you can make really big fucking power.
That's good. What do you think comparison wise to like the new Harleys and like the release of the new Indians? Like the new, what was the one you said you looked at today?
So I own all the Indians. I also own all the Harleys. So I have 4 fucking Milwaukee 8s. I have a Fat Bob, a Fat Boy. I have a Road King and that Road Glide, all Milwaukee 8s. And then I have I have what they call a Springfield, which is like a Road King with hard bags. Because that was the smallest one. I fucking run out of space. And then I have actually just got my axe today. I have that bobber, the Jack Daniels edition little fucking Scout.
Did you get that one? What was the Clockworks that did the deal for the Jack?
I think he did that, and then they were numbered. I got what did I get? I got 17 out of 177. It's got some gold flake on it. It's fucking cool, dude, because it's like they give you an axe, and it's because of like Jack Daniels has their own fucking fire department and shit. Yeah,
I remember they released that thing like right around the same time of Daytona last year. Or this year.
Could have, and I just barely got the fucking thing. Right before, I think it was right before Sturgis. Yeah, and then I have the FTR too. So I don't have my FTR yet. I did finally get to fucking sit on one, but they were all pre-production ones that were at the AIM show. I'm supposed to be getting it the first of the year. So that being said, there's lots of differences between all of those bikes. And mind you, I have other bikes too. I got fucking Nortons and AJSs and fucking, I got all kinds of shit. I got a lot of shit. But the difference between the Indian still has like a Jap bike feel to it. It's compliant. It's fucking nice, smooth, riding down the road. It feels good while you're riding it, but the hand controls still feel a little Jap bike-ish to me. Not that that's a good or bad thing, but it's not quite as refined. The electronics fucking suck as far as making power, because you really can't make a lot of power with that Indian, and I'm of course, a fucking gearhead. So it took me 4 years to build a pipe for that bike because of the electronics, because of the ECM. So I got the very first 2 that were even in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. This dude, he's like, man, this Indian's going to be fucking great. It's going to be huge. We need to fucking build a pipe. So I'm like, cool, fucking bring it over. And he actually bought 2 of them, and he brought one over, and I put it on the dyno, and I could never get the fucking thing to repeat. I couldn't get this even stock, you know? Like normally you can have the same oil temperature, the same head temperature, and it'll repeat. You can, like, I run them until they repeat, and then I fucking average those 3 I keep on running, and you'll have 3 that are super fucking close within a couple points, and then I average those, and that's my dyno number. Well, that would vary up and down like 8 fucking horsepower. Like, dude, if I don't know where I'm starting, I can't know where I'm going to end up. So it had a problem with pulling timing back and doing weird shit when you were on the dyno, and it just wasn't that great of a fucking ECM. And then finally, very recently, they came out with the Power Commander Power Vision CX is what they use on that, which it's not the best thing in the world, but at least you're able to tune with it. Like, it's the only thing that they got. Yeah. And they definitely need it. So once that happened, then I was able to readdress that, and I went and bought one, and we designed a pipe that works pretty fucking good.
You excited about the FTR? I mean,
that FTR is a bad motherfucker, dude.
Yeah.
Like, for real. Like, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, the price point, and if everything does what they say that it does, I mean, you're getting so much bike for that money. It's insane. I mean, there's a lot there. It's a Sportster price, man.
Yeah, no doubt. And like that one that I got is what do they call it, the S or the R or whatever. And it's got a fucking badass dash on it that actually has my fucking buddy's dumbass Jared fucking riding across it. When you turn the key on, it's got him on the real FTR 750 riding across there. And I mean, it's really cool. It's got like 3 different settings as far as it's got a sport mode and a fucking race mode and whatever. And basically all that's doing is changing your throttle progressivity on how fast it turns the throttle. I don't think it might pull some timing out. I don't know. I guess we'll see when I get one, but
would you consider, like, maybe the Indians, like, you can kind of tell that Harley is kind of really wanting to limit the aftermarket of their bikes. It seems
they're fucked that way. They've always been that way.
And so, but their bikes are still very modifiable. You know what I mean? It's kind of like an Apple computer, right? You buy an Apple, it's fucking like you got what you bought. You don't get to do shit to it. But it seems like the Indian, one argument could be, if everything's already done, for certain guys like me, I cannot have a stock bike. That shit is not something I want.
Nobody can.
So I want to feel like I'm making it better all the time. So if that bike's like dialed in 100%, would it be as appealing?
It never is. I don't give a fuck what it is. Like, there is nothing, if you're good enough, there is nothing that you can't fucking improve on.
Yeah, I agree. But I was just wondering, like, with that bike coming out, like, is there going to be room for, like, is it going to be worth improving? You know what I mean? For people.
Well, I'm definitely going to build a pipe for it. I know that. On top of that, I don't know. Like, I was in the development of that FTR 750 before at its inception.
Yeah.
So, like, we worked on that for all of those years. At that time, I was sponsoring Jared on the Harleys, and they asked him to fucking help him develop the fucking FTR.
Yeah.
So we actually were running that for a fucking whole year after the races. Not actually, we never raced it. We were still Harley, but we were doing that FTR. So we developed that whole fucking thing, and just kept on making it better and better and better. And they just kept on throwing money at it, and they actually went through it the right way. Mm-hmm. Instead of hiring fucking a drag racer to fucking run your team that knows nothing about fucking flat track like Harley did, they hired the people that already fucking knew that were winning. Yeah. They're like, how much money is it going to take for you to fucking help us develop this bike? And then after we develop it, how much money is it going to take for you to race it and campaign it? They didn't go out and, like, that Indian truck that you see, the 3 Indian trucks that you see, those are fucking already existing race teams. Like, they already fucking get.
Well, they're owning the flat track scene, from what I've heard.
No doubt. Yeah, that for sure. But a lot of people talk about a lot of shit about that, because now that it's got a little bit more mainstream, flat track's been around since the fucking beginning of fucking motorcycles, you know?
Well, it's definitely had a resurgence of popularity over the last 3 years.
For sure, because it's got on TV, and they started running in the X Games.
And now it's like you got, they, even though, like, you're seeing, like, hell, last year at Rock Rally, they even like circled out a little area that people were doing it. So you're seeing more, like, it becoming more available to the average guy to try.
Absolutely.
And that's making it more popular because people are having a vested interest in it. It's like basketball's popular because you can go buy a basketball at Walmart and go to the fucking, park down the street and see what it's like. So
yeah, and it's the same thing because you can fucking buy a clapped out old fucking Sportster and don't mind fucking throwing it on the ground and go try to fucking do that. Which is great. I love it because I've been part of that sport for a fucking very long time. Like we sponsored Chris Carr for 25 fucking years, 7 national championships. Like we have, like, I can't even remember, like 14 fucking national championships in flat track. But now that people are starting to see it, they're like, oh, fucking Indian is taking over. Well, guess what? Fucking Harley has owned that since 1972. Like since the XR 750 came out, they've pretty much fucking dominated that fucking sport since.
But I mean, it's pretty evident though right now that they've lacked on investing into it. Would you say?
Oh, they're spending the money. They're just spending it in the wrong spot. So they hired a drag racer, and they have fucking Vance and Hines developing a street bike to race on the fucking flat track circuit. It's ridiculous.
Well, that's the same. I mean, that same argument goes with just about all their marketing across the board. It's just, it doesn't feel like it's wise. Like you have so many, knowledgeable people like yourself in this industry that you could tap into, that have a passion for Harley.
But what the fuck do we know?
Apparently everything.
we know fuck all. Like they don't know. I mean, they obviously know what the fuck they're doing. They've been around a long fucking time, and it doesn't matter what we think. Because and there's different ways to think about this, right? So, like you are a fucking Dyna freak and FXR freak, and like you're into that scene, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of other people that are into that scene, and it's all that you fucking see on Instagram.
Yeah.
And that's like all your friends are all into that shit, right? Well, how many of those motherfuckers that ever bought an FXR or a Dyna brand new? Like, was there any of them?
No.
Like, do you know any motherfucker that bought one of those brand new?
A couple of new Dynas, yes, but obviously when the FXR, like its resurgence of popularity over the last like 7 years, I guess, or more prominently over the last 3 years, it's mainly been because of, I think a lot of things are owed to things like Instagram, because we're seeing cultures, we're seeing things that are cool in this world, and
but it's not only that.
Yeah,
it's money. Not one motherfucker wanted that bike when it came out.
Yeah.
Not one motherfucker wanted a Dyna. You couldn't fucking give a Dyna away 5 years ago in fucking Dallas-Fort Worth area. I could pick those up for fucking $4 grand, $5 grand, $6 grand.
I still pick them up cheap.
Fucking all day long.
Yeah.
Like, for sure. You still can.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why that scene is fucking getting bigger and bigger. Because it's not about that it's fucking cool. It's because you can afford it now that it's cool. Now it's cool because you can afford it.
Well, you can afford it, and then there's so much culture attached to it. Like there's so much a culture from fashion to, everybody's got to have a Simpson or a fucking Bell or something. Like there's so much like satellite companies that make off of just this culture of Dynas and stuff, and some of the more people with money are kind of crossing over into the bagger market, and they wanted something different, and it does feel cool when you're on a bagger that has T-bars or a bar and riser setup, and you pull up to Strokers here, and every old man's like, what the fuck is going on? Like they've never seen that before, because it's different, and it feels cool to us because we're like, yeah, we're in this subculture of something that the average dude at 7-Eleven don't know shit about.
That's the whole thing about being. That's the whole reason why people buy fucking Harleys, you know what I mean? So it's always been going against the grain or going against the fucking what the normal is.
Yeah.
There's very few people that even fucking own motorcycles.
True.
So everybody wants to be something different, and then when it becomes available to people, like because of the price is different. Now brand new Harleys have always been fucking expensive, regardless, all the way throughout time. It's never been affordable.
Yeah, so if you were to account for inflation, like a 27.5 for a street or a road glide, street glide special now, 10 years ago, that was 23 grand.
Yep.
So I mean, that's not too bad, man. I mean, you think about it. Or
when I also have more fucking technology than they did back then too.
So my 2000, I bought a brand new 2012 and special, and it was like, I think I got a good deal for like 21 or 20 or something like that. And then, every year it's just kind of gone up like $500, a little, and then when they revamped them, they did all the, the CAN bus system and different.
You're talking about baggers, though.
Yeah, baggers.
So now you talk about the fucking Dynas or the Softails, which they are now, and they fucking lost their minds.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they jumped a bunch.
And for something that's like, so my good friend bought the Sport Glide that we're about to build that for, IMS and all that shit right there, or modify it. We're not really builders. But that bike had so much potential to be something that the market wanted. But, you get a bike that's got forward controls. It costs a shit ton of money to revert back to mid controls. But I guess because mid controls have been something you can get on Craigslist for $45 for the last 10 years. And now over the last 4 years, they become the most popular thing that people want on their bikes. And now so Harley's got all these bikes coming out with forward controls, and it's not an easy transition back and forth like it used to be from like if you buy a Dyna.
It is, but it isn't. It's actually easier than it was before because you can just go buy all the pieces. They don't build a kit.
Yeah.
So you can make everything. They're all the same because I bought them because I have to design.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to buy every fucking bike, but I bought the wide tire. I bought one of the wide tire bikes and one of the narrow tire bikes. That way I can build pipes that work for them. But you also have to be able to work with all the different controls that Harley makes.
Yeah, exactly.
Now I don't give a fuck about aftermarket. Well, I do, but I can't fucking make fucking my shit work with every fucking douchebag that's making
every mid control and forward control guy.
Or fucking rear, whatever the fuck they're building. I can't possibly keep up. So,
but okay, so like so you have a Fat Bob, right?
Yeah.
That bike, if you would have asked like 5 years ago, the Fat Bob is a bike that, well, at least in our culture now or our scene, that's not a popular bike. Nobody wants that shit. That's the coolest bike that they redid as far as the Softail line, and the technology that's on the bike. It looks
the best.
Yeah, the technology looks like. I mean, when you're sitting on that bike, you feel like you're on a bike that's worth $16,000-$17,000, like maybe. But it has nice shit on it. And then you get on some of the other ones, like I said, I love the Sport Glide, but you get on it, and this bike's more expensive, and it has bags and this little fairing. But it just doesn't have that kind of that digital readout and this, that, and the other, and the tank fill. He's got this fake cap over here that does nothing. It's a pointless thing. It's like, what the fuck was they thinking when they did this shit? And then
that's your job. That's my job. That's what we got to fucking make.
Exactly.
Shit cool.
That's what we got to do now. But it like
you
for me,
can't ever fucking think if there is not any fucking motorcycle that they're gonna come out with that anybody's gonna think is cool. Mm-hmm. Like if anybody in that's into fucking motorcycles, because of like it's all about I hate the fucking man type thing, you know. Like if you give them exactly what they want, they're not gonna want it no more.
Yeah,
because any fucking douchebag can buy it. So you're not gonna want something that they build that is exactly if they would have came out with that bike with fucking T-bars and a fucking T-Sport fairing and fucking like leather bags on it like the T-Sport was, you wouldn't fucking buy it because nobody bought the motherfucker then.
See, the thing is that like I guess I've heard people say like, oh man, why don't Harley sell a bike that's already set up? Like that's pointless because it needs to be
never happen.
It needs to be open to interpretation. But what my argument is with some of the new bikes is I don't want to be $2,000 in the hole to go to revert to mid controls on a street bob. I mean on a Fat Bob and on a Sport Glide. Those were when I bought my new bike, I wanted a Fat Bob. That's what I wanted. Because I was like, fuck, a Fat Bob with those bags from fucking the Sport Glide, that would be a sick ass bike. And then hopefully someone would come up with a fairing at some point so I can do some long distance. But when I looked into all the work it was going to take to convert it to mid control, I was like, this ain't fucking worth it.
Still not as comfortable.
I like mid controls personally.
Well, no, I do too. But I'm just talking. If you would have done that Softail, it's still not a bagger. It's still not a fucking bagger.
Like I said, the two things that sold me on the bagger was that dude Steve leaving the campground and just rapping it out all the way through 6th gear. As stupid as that is, that really just like, man, like that was fucking cool,
Yeah.
And then
you should have fucking rode with us. Like like me and Jesse Rook were in the front, and he was leading, of course, because he's from there. And he knows where all the fucking roads are, and he's leading, and I'm right behind him, and there's fucking some cool fucking dudes on like badass fucking FXRs throwing it down fucking way jacked up, and then Big Al was there with his fucking Dyna, and like we were fucking ripping it through those canyons, dude. And they all were like, I didn't know now mind you, mine was loaded down. I had a tour pack.
Yeah, I mean, you rode there.
And a fucking bag behind me.
Exactly
and
what you did
else.
was exactly me last year on the hot bike tour. Everybody else kind of trailered and they had their shit and their hubs. It's like, no, man, my fucking tent is on the back of this bitch.
Yeah.
All my clothes for the week, it's all on the back of this. It was a good time though, man. Just hauling ass and doing all that shit.
It was really cool. I'm glad that I got to meet those dudes, and they were really cool. It was fun to be around them, because I was really skeptical, because like I said earlier, I'm like, I normally don't ride with people, and then I just kind of thought, and the very first day that I was there, it's like you start at Buddy Stubbs, and then you end up at Buddy Stubbs at the other location, which is just across town. Like, that's your day of riding.
Yeah.
Like, motherfucker, I didn't drive 1,000 miles to get here to fucking ride across town. Like, I need something better to do than this. So, and when I left, I just followed these two guys that had been on every one that hot bike has ever had, right? And they were just two old men, and they were driving the speed limit, and I'm like, dude, I can't fucking handle it. And I fucking jetted as soon as I figured out where the fuck I was at. And then I got there, and then Jesse was there, and he took us on a ride, and and from that point on, we were hammering, and I was like, man, I can't believe there's this many people that are riding like fucking idiots like I do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
crazy.
And then Jesse turned around and went back. And so this other guy, he's on a fucking CFL. He's on a fucking West Coast chopper.
Yeah.
Rigid. T-bars, fucking, and this dude was in the back the whole time, because I was up there in the front with Jesse and fucking around with those other guys carving the corners. And then once we got to wherever the fuck we were at some bar, and then we still had to make it to Flagstaff, I think, to the Harley shop, and he's like, well, I know where I'm going, they can follow me. I'm like, okay, that's cool. So he starts taking off, and now this motherfucker has lost his mind. He's fucking splitting lanes and fucking had it wide open the whole time. 110. I'm like, this motherfucker right here is my hero.
Yeah,
and then,
it's your spirit animal.
And then Big Al, he was like right on his ass, and I'm
dude,
like,
that's what
cool,
I
man.
rode. I rode right behind Big Al, like on one of the second rides we did last year. And that motherfucker can ride, dude. He can ride pretty good, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not the best rider. Like, I just look like I can ride sometimes.
Well, he don't give a fuck. That's what I like about him. Because, like, dude, we were splitting lanes, and it was raining, and fucking, like, it was a lot of fun riding with those dudes. Mm-hmm. And especially, and me and him, like, I'd never even met the guy before.
He's super nice.
And he's got one fucking leg, and he tells me, like, dude, I ran one D&D, and that's why I lost my leg. I'm like, oh, shit. I'm like, sorry about you, dude, but maybe I should put a sticker on that motherfucker. Yeah. But you can buy him again. You got another leg. Fuck it. No, but he was. He's just crazy, fucking splitting lanes, and I was hanging there with him, and some dude tried to run me off the road, and being the third guy back is always like I never like being that guy. I usually like being the front guy, but I didn't know where the fuck I was going.
Yeah.
And Big Al seemed like he was pretty fucking happy being in second place. So I just like.
I think last year we had did a run. We got on a major highway, and we were fucking acting a goddamn idiot on this highway. People wrecked behind us and was in like the hospital, catching up with us, and they're trying to keep up. But I was on my gold FXR, and it was last year. This dude Morgan was. He was, I guess he ran Street Chopper. He was leading the pack, and then right behind him was Kerry Hart, and then it was it's just RPM Moto or something. They're out of I think they're out of San Diego or something. And last year they had like these the baggers, they were like 143s and shit like that, and I was just riding next to one of those dudes, and then one of the other, there was two of them, and then one was behind me, and the whole time we're just getting it, hauling ass, pegging out the bikes and shit. And seeing that bagger made me buy my last bagger, which I had last year or the beginning of this year.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, it's always a fun time doing that shit. Anytime you get like a lot of people that are kind of like, I guess, industry leaders, if you will, it just gets fucking really cool to just see them like actually doing what what they're supposed to be doing on bikes,
right.
Hauling ass and having a good time. And
yeah, it was awesome, man. Like yeah, that dude he's my fucking hero. He only did that one time, and once we got to where we were going, I'm like, dude, is that all y'all had? Because they were pegged the fuck out. Like
my buddy,
it was about 110, and they said, yeah, that was wide open. Fucking cop came.
My buddy Brian from TPJ Customs was down there. He built a bike, and he rode it down from Reno, I think. And he had a problem, like his shock came apart, and he had to re-put his like rear shock back together, or some shit at Olin's or something like that.
There's a lot of people there that didn't ride with us. I mean, it's my take on it. First of all, it was pretty fucking unorganized.
That's what I said last year.
But and then I kind of gave it to him because Jordan, he's like, man, we didn't even know that this was even going to happen a couple months ago because all the fucking bullshit, whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything about all that shit. I just built a new fucking pipe, and I'm like, okay. I happened to see Hot Bike Tour. I'm like, fuck, I'd like to go on that.
Yeah,
let's figure it out. And it ended up working to where I could do my trip and test out all the shit, and call on some people and do some business. So I just fucking did it, and come to find out, it almost didn't happen, and there was a lot of shit went down, I guess, and people just kind of fucking just did whatever. Because from what I understand, normally when they ask people to build a bike, they start in like February, not like a couple months prior.
I had 3 bikes. I had 3 bikes. I had the bagger, I had a bone stock FXR, and I bought a T-Sport. And I was kind of under the impression I was going to build a bike for it because they told me I would if I did last year's. So I had all 3 bikes. So I was like, you want me to build a bagger? I'll do a bagger. You want me to do an FXR? You want me to do a Dyna? Whatever you want me to do. And then when Jeff Holt, left, and then, it just, nobody knew if the Hot Bike Tour was happening or not. And I didn't know for a fact that if it was happening. I think that someone reached out to me in July and said, hey, you going to the Hot Bike Tour? I was like, dude, it ain't fucking happening, because Holt told me last year on the Hot Bike Tour they were going to do it in Phoenix and go to the Four Corners area. So I knew that was the plan, and that's why I was kind of building a bike to make that trip and whatnot. But it's just so much drama, man. The magazine things are having a really hard time finding their place in this new market of media and shit. But
everybody is. I mean, people that have been around a long time are having, they got to figure shit out. Like me, I got to talk to motherfuckers and not be such an asshole.
Yeah.
It's a whole different fucking world. And I'm sure it's the same for them. Like people don't fucking, I haven't bought a fucking magazine.
Yeah.
Fucking ever. Like for a long, long time. Like the only time that I ever buy a magazine is when I'm in an airport or something,
But what's cool about that about the Hot Bike Tour is what I wish that there was more of those type of events where it was kind of like a riding, like let's all meet here and just do a loop and do this, ride, go to these different places, have fun, see, that's the kind of shit. I love a good rally. I love a good camp out. I love a good party, but that's a different like element of like fun.
Oh, I had a really good time, dude.
Yeah.
Because I got to fucking hang out with people that I've known for a long time, but you never really know somebody until you get to hang out with them and fucking drink with them and fucking talk to them. And
yeah,
like I hung out with Nick Trask quite a bit. We get along pretty fucking good.
You're both like engineer nerds, you know what I mean, with your horsepower and stuff.
And he's went through a lot of fucking shit last year, like crazy shit, and he's still chugging along. I actually went to his shop afterwards. He went on a fucking family vacation after that whole deal, but I went to his shop and checked everything out and saw that what he was doing. And
yeah, I mean, to my knowledge, like he was all the like big wheel bagger companies, like he was making everybody's pipes. I think Misfits and Covington, I think maybe.
Yeah, I don't even know how, because yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, I mean, I think he has the problem that I used to have, which is can't say no.
Yeah.
Like, fucking, like I'm a money whore. Like I like fucking, and I also like working. So anytime that anybody would come to me, no was not a thing. Like whatever you fucking need, like I don't give a shit. I will work.
See, that exact thing is what I took from Gary working with him, is that you never know if you're going to be busy next month. So it's like, if there's an opportunity, take it. Don't, take all the shit. And it's like, it's only now with the social media that I can schedule out, and I don't have to take in jobs I don't want to do, or isn't my style, or isn't like if I don't want to deal with the stress of it, I can pick and choose the work that I want now, which is a blessing in some weird way. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
it's like, you know what I mean? Like when I wanted to get rid of doing the big wheel bagger stuff, it was kind of a hard and scary transition, because you make so much money painting those bikes, and you're like, fuck, man, like I don't know if I can live off helmets and dynas, and then next thing you know, it's like you can keep your shop clean, and you don't have to, you can spend an hour a day sweeping up.
It don't even make any fucking sense, dude. Yeah. Like, you know who Jeff Long is?
Yeah.
So that motherfucker is a painting bitch. And it was a few years ago, I go out to his place and he's fucking painting helmets. I'm like, do people fucking paint helmets still? Like, what the fuck?
Dude.
Like, it don't even make any sense.
I'm fortunate and lucky that I have a helmet business, or helmet clientele, but man, like my friends that I look up to in the helmet thing, man, like every day they post something, I'm like, fucking A, man, I'm never going to be that good. You know what I mean?
Well, you just got to fucking work.
Yeah, it's just
that can't be achievable.
It's not. They've been doing helmets their whole life, so usually we're friends because they all hit me up like, dude, I love the bikes you do, and I'm like, dude, I love the helmets you do. Yeah. But we're looking at each other because we do different shit, and we're used to our things. You know what I mean? But yeah, Rick Dubstep, you remember him? So he reached out to me. He listens to the podcast, and we're gonna be sitting down with him next week. And he's
a fucking badass painter, dude.
Yeah. So it's just cool, like. We started talking to some of the people from the chopper era, and I went back and watched all that shit, all the biker build offs, all that stuff, and just to kind of see the culture from then, and then compare it to now, and just just kind of relive it, because when I was working with Gary back in the day, I was into sport bikes. I didn't give two fucks about Harleys. I was working on them, but my life was biker boys and rough riders and shit like that, back in the day.
Yeah.
So.
And I did all that same stuff. I mean, I had jet bikes, and I just had fast shit all the time. Fast cars and fast bikes and fast women.
You said you've been working on this new pipe. I mean, how much longer till it's released, or is it released already, or it's a shorty, right?
I got a bunch of them.
So what you
I work on shit all the time. That doesn't mean that it's gonna end up being a production pipe.
Yeah.
The Bagger Bobcat is going to happen, though.
Mm-hmm.
So the structural integrity test definitely worked. That's all good. The next thing, I got to do a little bit more testing. I'm building another. I'm going to do what do I got to do? I got a 124, 127, and a 131 that I'm going to test it on and make sure that it's going to be cool with that, because that's. That style of pipe, that short pipe, is kind of...
It's hard to achieve power with that short pipes, right? Because looking at your exhaust systems, like your collector is usually behind the transmission case, or behind the at least the clutch cover, or whatever that is right there, transmission cover.
Yeah.
So to get a shorty pipe, that means like you got a super stubby,
but people don't realize that it's not just the header.
Mm-hmm.
Header don't fucking mean shit, really. It's all what you put behind it. That's what fucking piles of shit will fucking tell you. That's why I never worry about anybody else coming up. But nonetheless, it is harder to make power with shorter pipes depending on what the engine is.
Mm-hmm.
So we started with a whole new fucking platform. It's a 4-valve motor. It has the cams are really fucked up in it because it's EPA compliant. The best thing that you can do to that is throw those cams away. I mean, dude, I can gain literally 30 fucking horsepower, 25 easy. Like, we advertise 30 horsepower by putting our pipe, a fucking bolt-in cam, and an air cleaner in a 107. Like, what the fuck? Like, to get that kind of horsepower to 25 to 30 horsepower on a twin cam, I used to have to do cams, heads, cylinders, fucking all the shit.
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna spend fucking $6,000. I do that for $1,000.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
so like, what would you
ridiculous.
say? Like you said you work with zippers a lot. Don't they have like grinds themselves or something?
Yeah,
or
that 468 grind that they have, the Redshift 468 is fucking phenomenal cam. You can't beat that cam for a bolt-in cam. Like, a lot of people are doing all kinds of crazy shit, and that's the other thing about the sound of it too, because that's the big thing with exhaust, of course. Like, how do I get that sound? How do I get that D&D sound like I had in my twin cam? Well, go buy keep your twin cam. That's how you do it, because it'll never sound the same. Evos don't sound the same as twin cams. Twin cams aren't going to sound the same as the Milwaukee 8. So, but if you change that cam, because what they do is with the EPA compliant cam, it doesn't let it build any compression. It actually it doesn't have hardly fucking any overlap, so it doesn't hit at idle. Now, it makes noise when you rev it up with anybody's pipe. I'm not just talking mine. They make no noise. You can take the fucking pipes completely off that piece of shit and it barely makes any noise at idle with the stock cam in it. But if you change that cam, it changes the whole fucking world. And that 468 is really big. One thing that I love about zippers, and Dan Fitzmaurice is his name, Redshift cams, is they're really big about making shit work at usable fucking RPM ranges.
Yeah.
So instead of building fucking big horsepower, high number fucking like big dick fucking numbers on the dyno, I would rather lose 5 up top and have 5 down low at 2,000 RPMs than anything. So
you're more concerned with the curve than the spike.
So Harleys live and die, even the new ones, at 3,000 RPMs. So if you can build your torque the highest at 3,000 RPMs and you have the broadest torque range, it's going to be the most enjoyable for fucking riding. Yeah. Right. So if you, like, if I was to let you ride one of my bikes and I told you it had 170 fucking horsepower, and then I let you ride one of my bikes that has 100 horsepower, but I changed where the torque came on at, you would be like, there's no fucking way this bike makes that power. You know what I mean? Like, if you were just to ride it around town or cruise or whatever. Now, the higher horsepower bike, when you're fucking on the gas and it keeps on pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling and keeps on speeding. Yeah. That's fucking all well and good, but that's not where you ride. People don't fucking ride there.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, they live and die at 3,000 RPMs.
So, when I got this motor, when I rode it, I was like, oh man, it's 114, it's gonna go. And I'm like, dude, this is fucking sluggish as shit, and then so I looked into Harley stuff, so I was like, you know what, fuck it, I got a brand new bike. I'll look at the within warranty stuff they have, and it's like you have to pick a horsepower cam or a torque cam, and it's like, I don't fucking know which one I want. I would think horsepower, because it feels
everybody
like,
thinks that,
but
do you know where horsepower is derived from? It's a calculation, right?
I'm not knowledgeable on that.
So it's calculated from torque. You can't have any horsepower without torque. It's derived from torque. So little Johnny told me this fucking story about the difference between torque and horsepower is, and it's a fucking really stupid joke, but it's always stuck in my fucking head, right? So horsepower is when you get up in the morning and you have a hard on and you got to push it down to take a piss. That's horsepower.
Yeah.
And when you push it down and your feet come off the ground, that's torque. So for some reason, that's always stuck in my fucking head. But basically, torque is where it's at.
Yeah.
Especially in a fucking Harley that only wraps to 6,000 RPMs. They don't even make any power. Now, if you're talking about a Jet bike that wraps to 12,000 RPMs, now we can fucking talk about horsepower. But that thing will have 150 horsepower and 60 foot-pounds of torque. Well, Harley will have 150 horsepower and 150 foot-pounds of torque. And it'll fucking feel like it rips your fucking arms off. And that's the difference. So if you build a bike for torque, the horsepower really doesn't matter because it's going to be way more fun. When you go into those corners and you're lugging it down and you fucking give it some gas and you come out of the corner and you got fucking all the grunt in the world, that's what you want. You don't want to fucking slip the clutch like a two-stroke to get out of the fucking corner. So, especially on a fucking Harley. So that's that's where it's all at. You need to build the broadest torque range possible, and you'll be fucking happy. You know, like if you're looking to try to do shit with your bike. First of all, I wouldn't use any fucking Harley cam because they're all EPA compliant. And then you got to be careful on what you're getting from S&S now because they have kind of switched their brain into doing EPA compliant shit too. But I can guarantee that I have tested pretty much all the fucking different cams out there. And for a bolt-in cam, that 468 Redshift cam is probably the best around. So
it's a bolt-in cam, so you're not having to deal with like valve springs or any of that shit, huh? It's not enough lift.
So I think retail cost on that kit, which comes with lifters, quickie push rods, all the gaskets, and the cam, because there's only one, is like $600.
Damn. And it's putting numbers out.
And fucking 25 horsepower, as long as you got the right pipe. You fucking put some other bullshit. I can't fucking tell
you can't co-sign on that one.
No, but
I think that's what a lot of people are looking at right now is that, you know, they're trying to justify the extra cost of the Harleys and the money and the motors. And that's exactly what I was hearing from the start is that, you know, these motors make good power. They have a few things they got to work out. You know, I guess, you know, a lot of people have been talking about the rocker, the little fucking quarter 20 screws holding the rockers on, and the little plastic fucking valve, you know, where they or the tap it.
Yeah, neither one of those things is really a fucking problem.
Yeah, that's right.
That becomes a problem when you put fucking high lift cams on that fucking don't have good ramps on them that slam the fucking the valves up and down and lift it too much. That's when you have issues. If you have people that actually give a fuck about how they design cams, and then they make cams with nice smooth transitions, and then they figure out how to do their opening and closing times with the valves that are already in it without doing any fucking head work, then you have something that doesn't tear shit up. Because that's the biggest problem with making things bigger is like what we talked about earlier, those things have a sumping issue. So you don't want to build a lot more pressure as far as displacement that needs to get out of the engine. We'll keep that the same. Keep it a 114, a 117, a 107, whatever it is. Add a cam and a pipe, and you'll be fucking pretty happy.
Yeah, I think that with a cam and a tune and things like that, I think that's where I'd want it to be because, you know, my bike, I'm setting it up because, you know, I have a shit ton of trips. Last year I did a bunch of trips across the country all over the place. This year, my eyes were big, my wallet and my, you know, shit just did not work.
Something that happens.
Yeah, so next year, you know, this bike, you know, I'm not trying to build a huge motor. I want it to be as reliable as possible. But,
for sure,
you know, when you get in those mountains, you get in those canyons, or, you know, you're hitting that, you know, my favorite curve is that, you know, I like going from Sturgis to Deadwood, that fucking high-speed corners that you can hit through there. I love high-speed corners, man. That's where like you were saying, I'm not good enough to, like, whip it back and forth, you know, in the real tight canyons of, like, Cali and shit, but you get me on some open roads and some nice sweepers, and I feel like I'm in MotoGP or some shit. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what it's all about. And that's what I tell people too. Like when I ride with people, very seldom that I do that, but I'm like, I tell them where we're going, and I'm like, dude, if you want to ride faster than me, fucking go. If you want to ride slower than me, you know where we're going. Like, don't try to keep up with me. Like, so, like a long time ago, I was riding with these fucking people, and I don't even know who this motherfucker was that was behind me and one other dude. But we're fucking riding in Arkansas someplace, and there's some fucking gnarly shit. And there's corn all over the fucking road. Like, you never know what you're going to run into, you know? Like, you just end up fucking, like, somebody has spilled fucking corn everywhere, and everybody's going all over the place. But like, dude, like, I don't know. We were in the front, and we were getting it on, and next to we pull up. Like, we usually try to stop when we turn, so at least people will know where the fuck we're going. Like, so we stop up there and wait a while, and then we end up coming back, and this fucking dude and this chick that was on the bike fucking crashed their motorcycle and ended up sliding up a fucking hill, right? They went off the road and slid up this hill, and me and him came back, and she's fucking laying into me like, we crashed because of you. You shouldn't be going that fast. I'm like, bitch, I wasn't riding your fucking bike. Like, what are you talking about? You didn't have to keep up with me.
Yeah.
Like, how is that possibly my fault?
Yeah.
Like, if you can't, they had a dealer tag on this fucking bike too. Yeah. So, like, how is that possible that you would even think that was my fucking fault?
It's
like,
his ego trying to keep up right above his limits, you know?
Yeah,
especially with a passenger too, you know?
On a fucking brand new, like, I don't even know, it wasn't even a Harley. So I drugged their shit back down the fucking hill for them, and the crash bar was all fucking bent over, and I kicked that motherfucker out, and I'm like, you're all good to go. Let's go. I didn't even know these people.
Yeah,
but since then, I'm like, I want to make sure everybody knows that I'm not responsible for the way that you ride your motorcycle. Don't try to ride like me. Try to ride like you. That's how you need to ride. If you feel comfortable, however fast you feel comfortable riding, ride there.
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, like my buddy Mark, like I said before, he's definitely one that pushes the boundaries of everything. I'm like, you know, what you just talked about, like, until I've ridden the road a lot, and I know there still is a chance that, like, between now and the last time I rode it, there could be something on the road. But, you know, usually, like, when people, like, pull out of their driveways on those nice curvy roads, that's where you usually have gravel and sand and
For
shit
sure.
like that. So it's like, if I don't...
It's also where people pull out.
Yeah.
Like... Because I picked somebody up off the fucking ground that happened too.
Yeah.
You know, so there's all kinds of things that you got to watch for. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean that.
No, but it's the same thing, man. I try to ride within my comfort, you know. And sometimes when you get more comfortable going down roads, you start knowing the corners and knowing how to hit them and knowing, you know, okay, damn, I hit that one at 60. I probably could hit it at 70 or 80 the next time I ride through it. Yeah. So that's how I am, you know, instead of
Well, then you always got that shit that runs through your head, too. So I've always... Dude, I've been riding on a fucking motorcycle since I was 3 years old. Like, I used to do fucking wheelies up and down the street, and, like, in my little town, I'd just ride fucking wheelies from all around the fucking town, and people would come out and watch me and shit.
Yeah.
Like,
so you're the original unknown.
Like, it was fucking retarded. But nonetheless, sometimes I don't feel like fucking acting like a fool. Like, I'm comfortable in myself that I don't need to fucking have a dick showing contest with somebody else. And that's like when you ride with other people, sometimes you'll push each other, right? You know? I don't fucking need to do that. I got a lot of shit. Like, I got fucking people I got to take care of. Like, a lot of them that work for me and my daughter and everybody else. Like, like, I'm not going to fucking race you, dude. Like, we're not in a race. We're just riding. I'm having fun. Like, you know, sometimes people get that, and I just fucking step back away from them. I always, when I'm in a place that I don't know, that's why it was really fun riding with Jesse, because he knew where he was going, and he tries to fucking ride really hard. I like staying right there with him and fucking... And
following his line and things like that. Yeah.
And just hanging with him, you know, because he knows where it's at. If he can make it around it, I can make it around it.
Yeah.
So
y'all, what are the plans y'all got for the rest of the year? I mean, I know y'all are going to Lone Stars. Y'all gonna be set up down there installing pipes and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's next week.
I know. I'm glad I'm not going.
Yeah. I wish I wasn't going. I hate fucking rallies because it's so much work. I don't ever get to have any fun.
Well, Lone Star, the only thing fun about Lone Star is drinking beer. And
I don't do any of that.
While you're there.
You would think that I'd be the one because I have a margarita machine and like I give away fucking margaritas and drinks.
You got to get them a little tipsy to start buying exhaust, man.
Well, actually, the reason I bought that wasn't to get them to buy it because the product pretty much sells itself, but it's for those guys that come in and you tell them it takes an hour and a half to get it done, and something happens or fucking get busy or whatever, and it takes 2 hours or 3 hours or whatever. Like, dude, you're on vacation, have a drink. Like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
like,
chill.
I don't like. Why are you getting excited? First of all, if it's down there, like, where are you gonna go?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you're gonna go to the bar. You want to fucking ride your bike across the street?
Yeah,
like,
Uber,
shut the fuck
Uber,
up.
Motherfucker.
Like, I will hold your hand and walk you straight over there.
What do you think about like the because you were at Daytona for sure, and Sturgis as well, and then now Lone Star. So what do you think about like the changes? I've talked to like guys like Ali from Sinister Wheel and stuff about like when you have these big rigs and you go to these big events and they really tax you on being there to where you almost have to like sell so much shit to break even before you make a profit of being at these rallies.
Well, but it's not about that. So I don't go to those rallies to fucking knock somebody's head off. I'm not a rally guy. I go to 3 rallies. Now there's all the other companies, they go to fucking all the rallies.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I got customers, like that's all they do is that's their fucking life. Yeah. They go to fucking rallies.
They open up their firecracker stand at every rally. And
like every one. Yeah. So they have to they got to play the game, and it's like a rolling fucking motorcycle shop.
Yeah.
I don't do that. I'm only out there because we've been around for 46 fucking years and never advertised and never fucking done with anything. And I want people to know that what the product is and what they're fucking buying, like what the difference is between our shit and everybody else's shit. That's I'm there more to educate people, and if I can break even, then the residual that comes back from that is tenfold. You know what I mean? That's what you hope for, right? So I fucking ball when I'm there, dude. Like, I buy a fucking great big spot. I fucking treat my people really well. I pay for absolutely 100% of everything. We have usually a fucking badass place. I buy a house or I rent a house. Like in Daytona, it's right on the fucking beach. I got a big condo that it's when we get done working, because I work their fucking ass off, dude. Like, I don't fucking stop. Like, if somebody... I'm not a 9 to 5 dude. Like, I'm fucking start to finish guy.
Yeah, someone walks in at 5 and they want a pipe. Hey, we're not.
I don't fucking. You're not coming back tomorrow. You're here right now, and you got a fucking credit card. Let's go.
Yeah.
If I got the shit, we're working. Like, I'll work fucking like. That's what sucks about Galveston is because it's so short. You got to do all the work in a very short period of time, and it's 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and. You're still fucking hustling shit, and you're usually not hustling. You're just fucking catching up from the shit you sold earlier. You know
exactly.
What I mean? But it's that's the deal. So the rallies, they are expensive, but the way that I do it, it's super expensive. I take 2 fucking trucks and 2 trailers and all kinds of shit, and I usually end up running out. But I'm there to try to treat the customer right and try to get new customers and try to educate people on what the fuck we got, So if you look at it that way, it's just
if you look at it that way, then it is like you're bringing a storefront to multiple people that can't walk into your store or your warehouse out here in Fort
And
Worth.
it's the same reason that I'm here right now, dude.
Yeah.
So it's like people want to buy from somebody. They want to hear a story. They want to know what the fuck you're about, you know? Like, I can write my story, which I probably will with our new fucking website, and tell people where I came from and what it is. But, the people that read that may be fucking, that's cool. And maybe some people, the 12 people that listen to this fucking thing, maybe they'll be 24 now that I've been on it. That'd be cool. Anyway, like, people want to fucking hear from you. They want to understand what the product is and who's making it and make it feel like a real like something real. Like you're not buying the shit on Amazon and it just fucking magically appears. You know, somebody real fucking made the shit that we make. You know, like I don't fucking order it. I don't just put my name on it. Like we build fucking by hand every fucking single piece that you get. You know what I mean? It's
like I said earlier, man. I feel like a company like D&D that's always kind of been a big company per se, as far as like the how it's perceived to the public, because you're in drag, right? You're in drag, right?
No.
Oh, you're not? I thought it was in drag. No.
So back a long time ago, we were in Tucker.
Okay.
We were in never been in drag, but we've been in custom chrome, but nothing.
I know some guys at Hard Drive.
Yeah, I talked to them too, but I have absolutely no reason to be in any of those at this point. First of all, that whole scene is changing, like as far as the distributor fucking scene. A lot of people are going more dealer direct.
Yeah.
It's easy to open up the fucking book and be like, I want this, and this. That's how it used to be, right? Yeah. But now that Tucker completely fucked up all that shit, and a lot of people are scared of those. And it started with Custom Chrome because they went out of business when we were with them, and they filed Chapter 11, and we were lucky enough to get our fucking shit out of there.
Being local.
Yeah, and then we were, the thing about it is like, how are you gonna help me make my shit easier for people? Like, what are you gonna do for me? If you're a distributor, what are you gonna do for me, right? So I have fucking more dealers than they got. So what the fuck, what are they gonna do? Like, we've been in business longer than most of those people. Now, mind you, a lot of people don't know about us.
Yeah.
But with social media and fucking a little bit of advertising and getting people to know us.
And being present at events.
Yeah,
and things
and
like
being
that.
present at events. I don't see how they can help me,
Yeah.
Now, there is, like, I've actually been talking to Drag Specialties. They have parts Europe and parts Canada. Now, something like that is feasible, but in the United States, since I already know most all these people, and anybody that knows about performance and what we do and the quality of shit that we do, they already know this is the go-to fucking pipe, right? So over there is a different story. There's way more people that ride motorcycles, and the Harley market and this whole fucking scene is starting to get bigger and bigger and bigger over there.
What also makes it easier, I would imagine it makes it easier for the exchange rate of dealing with them.
It's a fucking pain in the ass. So we send shit all over the world, right? So like just this morning, like I told you just last week, we just started taking orders online. It's an e-commerce, right? So, and I get notifications for everything that is sold. Some dude in Thailand just bought a pipe today. It cost him fucking $500 and something fucking dollars to ship it there.
Yeah.
One fucking pipe, dude. So
Thailand's got a big Harley market, man.
It really does. Actually.
Those dudes do some rad shit over there.
It's fucking awesome. I think
we got listeners in Thailand, by the way.
That's awesome. I love fucking Thailand. One of the best times I ever fucking had was in Phuket, Thailand. But I digress. I think that they could help me there because it's all about when I ship to Rollies. Is one, I guess you would call them kind of a distributor because they take care of Australia. They buy pallets at a time, and we ship it to a freight forwarder, and then they take care of fucking everything, and I send them catalogs that don't have any prices or anything. They set their own shit because the money's different. It takes a fucking shitload to get it there. That's why they ship it over in a fucking boat.
Yeah, make it easier. Yeah.
So that alone is going to help all those people, because there's a parts Europe and a parts Canada, that you can go to a local place and they already have it all figured out, what forms need to be filled out, what you can buy, and it'll be less expensive for them. You know, it's a reasonable thing. You don't have to have a fucking shitload of money and an extra $500 fucking dollars in shipping.
Well, you had a good point earlier, and this goes across the board with a lot of things and a lot of my arguments that if you've heard any of my podcasts, you get. But you said it the best. You said with your own social media, your own website, and your own marketing, your own being present, you're doing more. You're almost equivalent. I don't even know the right word. You're making it just about equal as if you were letting Drag Specialties or a parts manufacturer do that PR advertising for you, basically.
Well, that's what it is, because they really don't do that. Like, what do? They make a book. They spend a lot of money on a fucking book, and then they let people fucking buy it. And they have a few reps that'll go around that will help out whoever is helping them out. So if RC fucking components, RC pipes, gives you a kickback of $50 fucking dollars every time that you sell a pipe, then you're gonna sell fucking RCs. It don't matter if they fucking work or they fall apart or you don't give a fuck. You're gonna fucking sell those pipes.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I don't need to do that. There's no reason for me to devalue the product, and I'm not gonna spend that kind of money on a rep, and he's got fucking 20 other companies that he's gonna try to go do the same thing with. You know what I mean? So it becomes. It's one of those deals, like, if
I would say that, not to cut you off, but I would say that there's probably a market. Okay, so an average shop, right? You have a drag book, you got a hard drive or Tucker, and you're trying to do your maintenance work, stuff like that. It's easier to just have a book. Like, you buy into one company and you get a bunch of shit.
For sure.
And do that.
It is.
But like at the same time, you know, there's a lot of specialty companies that make specialty products. I mean, Kraus, you know, Lucky Dave's, a lot of different people that make stuff that's kind of like niche based.
That don't deal with those people.
So it's like, you know, but once you're a dealer for one. I need a pee too, so we'll pause it real quick.
Can we do that?
Trying one of the 3 crowns.
I think I got 5 different crowns here. I didn't even know they made honey crown. Or whatever the fuck else that is. But it's pretty damn good.
Yeah, I've been trying to like only drink once a week, man, but doesn't work out too well for me.
I don't drink hardly at all.
So
like
when
I said, I either drink or I work. So I work all the time. Like, I got beer in my fridge. Like, I don't go home and drink.
Yeah.
Like, I go home and work. And but I also have fucking plenty of shit to do. Like, I'll go months and months and months without drinking, but I don't mind drinking.
So have you like, you know, with how much you're kind of involved with a lot of motorcycling and testing and tuning, and have you thought about branching D&D into any other like areas, or
like as far as other than motorcycles?
No, other than just pipes.
Oh yeah. Well, I do, actually, because I still own my American Pride choppers, where right now that's kind of on hold until I get all my new fucking buildings and everything built, what I'm doing, and make it a little bit more reasonable for me to work at. But yeah, I still build bikes. I still build engines, and I still plan on having. Well, I'll give you a plan, okay? So I talked to you a little bit about what I planned on doing for the veterans at my place. There's actually a few companies that are already doing that, and I've already looked into trying to help them out for right now until I get all my shit going. Like, literally, like, I poured a slab. I'm building it's an 8,400 square foot building right by my house that I'm going to do that, and I'm also going to do some of the coating that I currently outsource, which I'm going to do all that in-house now, and I'm going to move my American Pride choppers out there, and also do all my R&D out there. And then I've already started working on a 100,000 square foot building where I'm going to move all of my all of my manufacturing because I got it spread out fucking everywhere. I got 7 different fucking shops. Actually 8. Between, you know, all of the CNC lathes, all the bending machines, the fucking metal stamping, I got a couple robots that we do some part of the heat shields, and then all of the different welders stations, and like it's one of those deals like how businesses grow. Dave was lucky enough to be able to buy all of the fucking buildings on a whole fucking block, you know, so but you still got to walk from one building to the next building, and it doesn't really flow, right? So if you were able to put it all in one, you can get a lot more production done, because if in the production areas, like if you have to walk more than one step to do your job, then you're wasting time, you know?
Yeah.
So we're going to set up a bunch of stations and have everything set up to where you ain't going to fucking walk all over the place. I mean, right now I call it the D&D Death March. So they walk up and down the street. I own the whole block. That's all they do all day long is walk from one end to the other, you know, and wear out friggin' forklifts all day long. So I'm trying to put all of that in one building. And that being said, you know, my motorcycle shop will move out there right away, but then it's going to have a storefront and a showroom and like a retail area and all that stuff. When I build the big shop, the 100,000 square foot, I've already got it planned out. It's going to be kind of like what do they call that? Fucking like an old 50s style garage type, you know,
that'd be cool.
Glass fucking doors and pull up underneath, and it'd be, I think,
kind of like
cool.
an old gas station kind of thing. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I think but with a little bit of Western, like, because we're out in the fucking country, Jack. So, like, and we're in Texas, so a little bit of that vibe too. You know what I mean? And you know, have dyno shootouts and have it a kind of a destination, because it's kind of cool to get away from town. Yeah. Because there's so much shit that happens in here. I love fucking being out there because, of course, I'm from fucking little town, not big town. But it's really cool to be that close, even because you're down here in Waxahachie. Like, you're far enough away, but still close enough to do whatever the fuck you want. You know what I mean?
I think that the difference between like this side of town and your side of town though is, you know, there's what is it called? It's a fucking fault line. It goes through Dallas all the way down through Austin. San
like
Antonio.
the Mason-Dixon line almost.
Yeah, so there's a fault line where like 2 different tectonic plates. We're getting super technical now.
Right on. I didn't know I was going to get into all that. But
so, you know, the hill that you go down when you go from Dallas down, that's a tectonic plate, 2 different ones. So technically we should be having, you know, earthquakes a lot around here. But so once you go down that deal and you get to the other side of Fort Worth, that's when you start seeing a lot more hills. And over here it's a lot more flat. And even though, we are about, you know, we're right now, we're exactly 22 miles from downtown because I live in downtown, right? Well, you're at, you know, you're probably a little bit further, but y'all have more. It's just, you feel like you're somewhere different. Like, you know, it's not flat.
It's way fucking different.
It's just, you have views, you know what I mean? Like, it's just so much nicer.
Dude, the difference between Dallas and Fort Worth is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, it is.
Like, I hate fucking going to Dallas. I don't like people who even like Dallas. And when motherfuckers tell me, when I'm like, I'm from Fort Worth, they're like, oh, from Dallas? No, motherfucker, I'm from Fort Worth, not Dallas. I said fucking Fort Worth. But I mean, the people drive different, they act different, like everything is different in fucking Dallas. I don't really understand it. And then of course, Fort Worth is still laid back, and it's cool, but it's still city.
Yeah.
And then, dude, it's only 25 miles to fucking Rome. Like, where I live is not very fucking far. Like, it's very easy to drive back and forth. It's 25 minutes to drive from my fucking shop to my house, right?
Yeah.
And it, like, the people are so, it's like it's a whole different fucking world, dude. It don't even make any sense how much different it is. Like, even going through a drive-through, dude, it's like going to a gas station. Like, the people are so different.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely nicer. Like I said, I grew up in Dallas, so I do like Dallas, but I I guess I've just lived.
You don't know no better.
Well, I've lived in so many areas of Dallas that it's like, you know, if I was gonna buy a house, I don't think I'd want to do it in Dallas. Like, first off, I can't afford it. You know, fucking property taxes are going up so crazy everywhere because all these Californians coming over here.
Yeah, they need to go to fucking Austin, and we get rid of that fucking place too.
But you know, like I said, out there in Fort Worth, it's a lot cheaper. It's a lot more scenic. You got better riding. You know what I mean? And it seems like it grows the right way. Like when you get an area that pops up, it's like cool shit pops up. It ain't like out here where, oh shit, we got a Walmart now. Fuck, now we got a Dollar General. Oh, now we got a Chili's. Like, you get all this basic bitch chain stuff that it's just no culture at all. And at least in Fort Worth, you feel like, you know, like y'all got the Alliance Airport area where it's like there's lots of good restaurants there to eat. You know what I mean? There's lots of good shit.
There's lots of good fucking everything everywhere over there.
So really. I don't know. I dig it.
And, you know, and the cool thing about being out where I am now, like I told you, it's like you don't have to worry about a lot of people because the people that own that shit own a lot.
Yeah.
You know, and until they start chopping it up, you don't have to worry about fucking living on top of somebody, because that's one thing that I've never really liked.
It seems like the neighborhoods, and I know we're getting kind of like people don't really know what we're talking about, but it seems like the neighborhoods are kind of like they stop right there at the what county is that you're in? Wise?
I'm in Wise, yeah.
So it's kind of like the neighborhoods, all the pop-up neighborhoods that keep coming up, they kind of stop right there at Wise County. There's a couple on the other side.
Well, it really does, because all of those what do they call it? Those track homes and shit where you like they're all the same house. Yeah, that don't happen out where I am, and that's because, like, dude, if you drive down 287, if you pay attention, if you look to your left, there's a fucking white fence that goes on for miles. And if you look way off in the distance, there's this fucking badass house. Mm-hmm. That dude fucking owns all that shit. There's got to be like fucking 4,000 acres that dude owns, because it's like miles and miles on 287. And the last like track home type place is right before his place, and he owns all of it. And then from there on, everybody owns a bunch of fucking land, like at least a fucking almost 100 acres, you know. Now they're like really close to me, like right down the street. There is a little fucking housing, not really housing addition, but it's where there's quite a few houses, but everybody's got minimum of 10 acres. So you're not stacked on top of each other, and they're all fucking farm people. And then there's a fucking airport in the middle of it, so a lot of people have hangars, and
that's cool.
Like I mean, it's kind of a cool community. Scott from SNS lives out there. My buddy Kenny, that's the tuner for Jared. He lives right down the street. We fucking fuck around all the time. But
so you got any more like rides you're planning on doing, anything like that before the end of the year, or just gearing up for next year?
The end of the year is going to be tough. I don't know, because it's really hard for me, because I have a 10-year-old daughter that I take care of, so I have to try to figure all that out. It's been pretty cool lately because I can take off for certain periods of time, and then like a lot of times my mom comes down and watches her. Like when I go to Sturgis, I drop her off there for 3 fucking weeks, so she hangs out up there in fucking Iowa. But my dad's all fucked up right now, so he can't really travel. And so it's harder for her to come down and watch her. So I kind of planned on doing another trip and kind of hitting some people, and actually probably going to Maryland. But pretty much by the time Galveston is over, I got to start planning for Christmas, because we shut down at the end of the year, right? So like our last day is probably going to be like the 14th or 15th of December, and then we shut down till the first of the year. So I give everybody 2 weeks vacation. It's just all at the same fucking time. You know what I mean? So by that time, it's fucking
gearing back up for the next season.
Yeah, I don't need to be riding in the snow. I mean, I'll ride around here, and I do ride. It's funny I said that. I do ride in the snow. I do ice racing. but that's on dirt bikes. We just haul ass up north and go right on fucking lakes and fuck around. But
well, it's good to know that you're like legitimately a motorcycle guy and not just somebody that saw, some type of profitability in bikes. That's something that I see in a lot of people. You know what I mean? So it's actually refreshing to see, the involvement and the passion you have for it. So that's pretty cool that's also attached to a big name like D&D. You know what I mean? So, you got anything else, man? Before we wrap it up, we're at 3 hours. So
3 hours. I've been with you for fucking 3 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just fucking check out our website, Instagram.
What's the website?
The website is dndexhaust.com, and spell out the N, so it's D-A-N-D-D, exhaust.com. And our new Instagram page is DND, like N as in Nancy or November, D exhaust, and just give us a follow. And I think what's our fucking? I think it's D&D for Facebook too, and we get a Twitter account and
who knows how to do it? Twitter's for Hollywood, man.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, talk to Jordan, dude. He does all of that shit for me. I wish I was a little bit more involved. I'm trying to be a little bit more. I do try to answer some questions that he can't. He does a pretty fucking good job of helping me out with all that. But yeah, check it out and buy some shit.
Yeah, and they'll see you at Galveston, LSR, Lone Star Rally.
Yeah, we'll be on the seawall. So come and check us out on the seawall. We got all of our. I'm actually debuting a new pipe, which is an X pipe for the Milwaukee 8s. And also some new slip-ons, which we haven't had before. I will not have the Bobcats debut in there. That'll probably be debuted at
Daytona.
More than likely Daytona, because I still got a lot of builds and a lot of testing I got to do to make sure that thing's legit. I've already been working on the X pipe quite a bit. That's the one that I rode to Milwaukee. So that one's down and ready to go. So if you don't like the 2-to-1 thing, you want to go the 2-to-2, we have a true X pipe that we make for the Milwaukee 8s now.
That's good. Well, cool, man. I appreciate you coming out here.
Well, thanks for having me, dude, for real.
Yeah. All right,
dude.
Welcome back, everyone. Or I guess not welcome back. Man, that was a good conversation, man. I really enjoyed talking to Rusty, man. He's it's great to finally know him after I've known of him, if that makes sense. He got over here to the shop around 10 o'clock. We did the podcast, 3 hours, whatever the case. And now it is 4:40 a.m. We just talked for like another 4 hours, just bullshit and talking about all kinds of cool stuff, man. It really should have just let this thing kept rolling. But, we're going to definitely have him on again. Fortunately, he's a local guy. And, yeah, man, I just want to thank you, Rusty. It was really awesome to get to know you and stuff. So I also want to thank our sponsors. Sorry, it's super late. My words are getting slurred. Texas Performance MC. Check them out on the Instagram. Also online, TexasPerformanceMC.com. Check out my boy Paint Huffer on the World Wide Web, and Paint Huffer Metal Flake on Instagram. HorsepowerInc.net, Horsepower Inc. on Instagram, and Horsepower Inc. Indy on Facebook. And my wife's texting me, where the fuck are you at? Also want to thank Hard Drive Parts on Instagram and HDTwin.com. Also check us out, fastlifegarage.com. Also on Instagram, the Fast Life Garage. You guys have a great day, great weekend, and should have another one for you come Monday or Tuesday. Peace.